This story begins in a rather gloomy place, a half-ruined temple on a hill surrounded by forest at the foot of a mountain. Several people sit inside a building near a mat where a man lies. One says he heard there are many empty houses in that town and suggests they try their luck there. While outside, others stand by a body, one replying, "That's why the place is full of spirits. But if they're not afraid to die, then go ahead and sing as they go." Desolation and ruin surround us. Flies crawl over the meager belongings, while a couple of insects explore a hand with depleted meridians visible beneath the skin. On the tiled floor lies a motionless young man, while an old man sits beside him, telling him he's been like this for days, and it's time to let go of what's been eating at his soul. The young man sighs, his eyes filled with sorrow and pain, wondering if he should let go. After all, what else can he do? In his state, revenge is impossible. Maybe this bitterness will bring him peace. But he just can't accept it. He remembers standing surrounded by 4 young men, one towering and strong, and painfully recalls their sworn friendship, which later revealed hidden blades behind their smiles. He fell into their trap, remembers being left lying on the floor after they reached their goal and left. Darkness reigning behind the door, unable to get up, a puddle spreading from the glass that slipped from his limp hand. A bowl of water is brought to his lips, and the liquid is slowly poured into his mouth. An old man, dressed in heavily patched clothes, tries to give him water to drink. With a sigh, he lifts his head and looks up at the sky. The old man wonders. It was sunny just moments ago, so why is it suddenly snowing? Still puzzled by the sudden change in weather, he complains that all sorts of strange things have been happening lately, and the village of Klen is getting crazier by the day. He is amazed that some snowflakes shine with an astonishingly bright light, and he reaches out to touch one. His finger moves closer to the glowing snowflake. But as soon as the old man touches it, his finger is covered with a layer of ice. At the touch of a sparkling snowflake on the branch, the bird that was just cheerfully chirping freezes, its companion watching in confusion, and the same fate befalls the deer peacefully grazing by the stream. The old man also turns into an ice statue, covered from head to toe in a thick layer of ice. Icy chunks are crashing down to the ground. Watching the falling snowflakes, the young man thinks they are filled with spiritual energy, and a single touch could kill any living being. One snowflake drifts toward the strands of his hair. The young man stops resisting, closes his eyes, and tells himself it's time to let go and accept his fate. Flames are rapidly descending from the sky toward the earth. A blinding flash occurs when it touches the surface. The fire keeps burning, spreading powerful waves of energy. The guy struggles to turn his head that way, still amazed by the power of the resonance. In the fire, he spots a silhouette, but the intense flames make it hard to tell who is behind the fiery veil. As the flames die down, he sees a person in a red cloak in the clearing. Zhou Guangli of the Chu dynasty looks up to the sky and asks, "Was that chaotic slaughter his doing?" Beneath his feet, the earth is cracked, still smoldering with fire, as fiery energy radiates from him in waves. There are many warriors in the air, unfazed that their feet don't touch the ground. Their leader, Gong Yanbai of the Qin dynasty, asks, "Chaotic slaughter? Did he hear that right?" He wonders, can the existence of tiny ants really be called life in his eyes? Gong Yanbai and his warriors shower the man in the red cloak with a rain of icy needles. In Zhou Guanli's hand, a fiery protective shield begins to form as he refuses to passively accept his fate. He uses the blazing sun technique, sending a massive fireball hurtling toward his enemies. One of Gong Yanbai's warriors exclaims in surprise. Their top-tier combined attack was destroyed with a single move. Their leader uses a form of air frost technique called the first breath. Exhaling cold air toward the fiery sphere hurled by Zhou Guanli's precise hand, he freezes it instantly. The sudden cooling causes the sphere to split into 2 parts before reaching its target. Sharp metal objects shaped like bird feathers fly toward Zhou Guangli as he strengthens his weapon with qi. Clutching the sword blazing with fiery energy, he holds it before him like a shield as sharp feathers, more like blades, pierce the ground around him. A mechanical bird appears in the sky, carrying a warrior dressed for flight, wearing a metal helmet and gloves adorned with sharp claws, with a strapped box on his back. The rider says, "Amazing!" He stood his ground against the Soul Ripper. He's definitely no weakling. Mo Jinggu from the Mo dynasty keeps rambling. No wonder the Qin dynasty needed his family's help. A man in a red cloak angrily shouts the name of the newly arrived opponent, Mo Jinggu. Gong Yanbai urges the warriors to give the enemy no chance and orders them to form ranks. Zhou Guangli soars into the air, surrounded by warriors shielded by icy energy beams. Folding their fingers in a certain way, they speak words in an unknown language, repeating them over and over until their throats swell as if holding a large sphere. Giant water serpents burst from the warriors' mouths. They grow bigger and bigger, and soon Zhou Guangli is surrounded by a ring of intertwined snake bodies. He yells at Gong Yanbai, if he's using the 9 yin formation, why keep relying on useless combat techniques? With a fiery aura, he effortlessly slices through the bodies of snakes with his sword. Gonyanbai shapes spheres, radiating icy energy in his palms, asking if the enemy really thinks he's that foolish, and still believes the truth is on their side, then commands to activate the formation. Fallen snake body parts regrow heads and soar back into the air. They rush at Zhou Guangli again, and a few of them, intertwined like rope fibers, manage to grab his leg. They reach for him from all sides. The man thinks these water snakes are summoned by the 9 yin formation, and cutting off their heads will only multiply them, while the yin energy from their bites will drain his spiritual power. Meanwhile, Gong Yanbai uses the blood frost technique, second wind. A wave of icy energy approaches Zhou Guangli as he battles the water serpents. Snakes coil around his body as the man thinks about the first breath, the frost of the air. He knows that second wind, blood frost, is even more dangerous. Mo Jinggu, watching the fight from his mechanical bird, says the third breath is cold death, confident that even Zhou Guangli can't withstand the secret technique of the Gongyan clan. Meanwhile, the ice completely trapped the water snakes entwined around the man's body. The ice sculpture remains surrounded by Gong Yanbai's warriors, protected by pillars of icy energy. Zhou Guangli uses a form of the boiling blood technique called Fiery Soul, shattering frozen snake flesh around him as he breaks free from captivity. Mo Jinggu immediately shoots iron eagle feathers at him. The man responds by sending a concentrated burst of flame energy toward him. A pillar of fire strikes the mechanical bird, sending its rider flying. Rings of fire engulf Zhou Guanli's hand as he utters just one word: explosion. A multitude of fiery balls explode in the air. Gong Yanbai, mesmerized as he watches them, says, the 9 yin formation. Burning flowers fall from the sky over the scorching city. The warriors of Gong Yanbai watch them in surprise, and one asks, what is this? A warrior beside him explains that it's a simple third-level spell, and invites his friend to watch as he crushes the flower with one hand. As soon as he clenches his palm, the fire engulfing him burns him to ashes. Gong Yanbai shouts angrily, this is Zhou Guangli's personal technique, burning flowers of the fiery city. He orders to create a water barrier immediately and take cover. The warriors follow his command as water whips snap from their fingers. Falling Mo Jinggu shouts that this is an incredibly powerful technique with a wide range, confirming the rumors that at 19 he wiped out an entire city. Using it are true. He opens a box on his back, releasing small mechanical birds. They crash into fiery blossoms that light up the sky, instantly burning in the flames. The sky is filled with countless fiery flashes. A young man covered in ash from burned birds looks on in confusion, wondering who these people are. Engulfed in a fiery aura, Zhou Guangli declares, the power of primal fire that pierces the heavens and boils the seas. Then from his lips comes the power of the ancestor Zhou Ran. Releasing the fire dragon shaped by chi from his hands, the man shouts, burn! The warriors around him flare up like torches as Zhou Guangli continues to fuel the dragon's energy. As he lands, Gong Yanbai curses. The enemy has taken on the form of his ancestor, Zhou Ran. Mo Jinggu, cursing fiercely, turns his back to the chaos and shields himself with a box that begins to melt in places from the raging flames around him. He looks around, his eyes widening in horror. No! His box drips onto the ground, forming a small puddle of molten metal. Engulfed in flames, Zhou Guangli calls out to his enemies, urging Yangbai and Jinggu to attack him. He takes on Zhou Ran's true form as a giant made of flames, accompanied by dragons, approaches them. Zhou Guangli, appearing as just a small flicker of flame against the monsters he created, says, great lineage, genius, they dared say that in his presence? The fiery giant approaches his foes, who look pitiful in comparison. Gong Yanbai reassures his ally not to be afraid, saying that even though their enemy is in a terrifying form, his third breath can definitely stand against it, but only a small puff of steam escapes his mouth. Coughing, he clutches his throat. Mo Jinggu asks if they should run away from here. Zhou Guangli says the defeat in the river valley is now undeniable. No flood can wash away the shame and the people's anger from their dynasty. Engulfed in a fiery aura, the man laughs and says, only he himself can take his own life. Only Zhou Ran can burn his soul. Laughing, he claims his head is right here. Who dares to cut it off? In a flash, the blade slices through his neck. His head rolls across the ground, and to everyone watching, that brief moment feels like an eternity. Finally, it stops, with flames still smoldering in his long hair. A beam of light shoots down from the sky to the earth. The accompanying sound is so unbearable that everyone present has to cover their ears. Gong Yanbai watches in surprise as a man soars through the sky, sheathing his sword, and asks, is that really Li Yi? Li Yi from the Qin dynasty responds, it's too noisy. Gong Yanbai says they act under His Majesty Yan Wu's orders, while Li Yi looks at him and Mo Jinggu with a gaze so sharp it feels like he's cutting them in half. Gong Yanbai catches the severed head of Zhou Guangli. Together with Mo Jinggu, he rises into the sky, quickly leaving the battlefield behind. Li Yi remains standing on the ground, watching them go. Zhou Guangli's body, frozen in midair, continues to blaze with fire. Li Yi looks at the plate in his hand. The monster's head on it means they're even now. The man pushes her away without even turning to see where she fell. His gaze shifts to the headless body engulfed in flames. He forms a ring with his fingers and looks through it at the remains of Zhou Guangli. Then it is adjusted, positioning the fingers so the burning body fits within the visible frame. Suddenly snapping his fingers, he says, "Bang!" An explosion occurs at the spot where Zhou Guangli's body was found. A sunbeam falls from the sky, illuminating the half-ruined temple on the hill and the charred trees around it. The guy's own head feels like a container full of needles, each one piercing his brain. His body twists in pain as a moan escapes his lips. A hand struggles to steady itself on the cracked floor tiles. With incredible effort, the young man tries to get up, thinking he doesn't want to die. Struggling, he clings to the crumbling walls as he staggers toward the exit. A broken sign hangs on the surviving doorframe as the boy bends down, pressing his hand to his solar plexus, trying to cross the low threshold. But he can't even manage this simple action. His leg stops obeying him. He stumbles over the threshold and loses his balance. A guy is tumbling down the gentle slope of a hill. He falls face first to the ground and lies still for a moment, trying to catch his breath. The guy thinks there must be something valuable left from such powerful people, something that could save his life. Getting up, he searches through the scattered debris for anything remotely useful, but finds only pieces of flesh, bone, and charred metal. He bitterly reflects on how everything has turned to ashes and realizes there's nothing worthwhile here. Suddenly, he spots an object wrapped in a scrap of red cloth. He picks up the find and brings it to his eyes. It's a vial. The guy swallows its contents. He believes mistakes are impossible. It's something he once had, but ultimately lost. He feels the power flowing through the meridians in his arms. The same processes occur in his feet. The young man feels power flowing through his body, realizing he has discovered the pill that opens the meridians. A powerful energy flows through his body. The boy's eyes shine from her abundance, flowing like a fiery avalanche through his veins. There's no trace left of his former weakness. He stands proudly, straightened on the scorched earth. There is no more despair in his eyes. Now he is filled with hope and faith in the future. He says this pill restored his vitality. Fate truly is unpredictable. Twilight wraps the hill crowned with ancient ruins. The young man buried all the fallen, placing wooden posts by their graves, one with a red cloth fluttering in the wind. He thanks the old man who opened the door for him on his deathbed, and the warrior who unknowingly saved his life, saying they are being buried by a man from Maple Forest City of the Zhuang dynasty. On a branch of one of the wooden stakes he placed at the graves, parts of armor and a shred of Zhou Guangli's red cloak were hung. The guy says his name is Zhang Wang. Bowing deeply, he says, "Rest in peace." Shining drops rise from the earth on Zhou Guangli's grave. They form a glowing circle. The guy looks at it puzzled. What is it? He holds his palm under the hovering circle, trying to figure out what's happening. Then he quickly clenches his fingers, and light beams out from between them. Zhang Wang's eyes widen in surprise. The young man looks around in confusion. Where is he? Stars shine in the dark sky around him as he finds himself at the level of energy rings radiating from an invisible center. He feels like he's not alone here. Looking closer, he sees a figure glowing with a bluish light at the center. Under his feet, the yin and yang symbols are visible. As the boy approaches, he greets him shyly. A voice sounds. Not enough spiritual energy. Tao simulation. 18th seal. 17th. 16th. 15th. 14th. Sword platform. 3rd rank seal. 4th rank. 5th rank. 6th rank. 7th rank. He doesn't understand what's happening. A scroll appears before Jiang Wang, and a calm voice announces, the 9th sword rank, the 1st Dao rank. The guy feels himself being pulled in by an irresistible force drawing him toward the ghostly figure standing at the center of the circle. The guy merges with the glowing figure, becoming one. Jiang Wang hovers in space, glowing with a bluish light, as a calm voice greets the revered master of the sacred land, Dan Zhenhu, leaving the stunned young man asking, what is happening here? Now he stands in the center of the circle, energy swirling above him, a beam from its core striking the top of Jiang Wang's head. He realizes he's in the illusory world of Taihu, a simulation indistinguishable from reality, except the master's body can't be harmed. And this Dao simulation platform is designed for studying and refining Taoist techniques, using up merit points. Information keeps flowing into his mind. The sword platform is meant for sparring with other cultivators. Honor points are mainly earned through direct combat. Winning a fight against an opponent of his level increases them, while losing decreases them. Sparring with higher-level warriors guarantees bonuses. Honor points can also be earned in the sacred lands. Among the 72 sacred lands, the lowest ranked is Mount Danshai, which produces 100 honor points per month. In the first 36 lands, each is worth 10 points more than the last. Beyond that, the increase is 100 points. His sacred land ranks 23rd, producing 1,850 merit points per month. A simulation platform appears before him, displaying a calendar-like interface, revealing that the quest will begin in 30 days. The guy asks, will failure lead to a demotion? A cracked signboard is visible on the half-ruined building. Standing by the graves, he says it's an unfathomable thing. Though all the information is in his mind, it will take a long time to fully understand it. He opens his palm, revealing a thin golden crescent, and says he has more important matters now. He must return to the academy before the inner circle elections. He clenches his fist again and vows to avenge his humiliation. The kingdom of Zhuang, Maple Forest City, bathed in bright sunlight as yellowed leaves drift through the air, carried by a gentle breeze. Shouts ring out in the academy courtyard. He's back! Jiang Wang has returned! A young man with a box on his shoulder walks slowly across the yard. He decisively drops the luggage from his back and kicks it aside. A shout rings out. Is that guy back? A tall man pushes people aside without caring about their displeasure, shouting, out of the way! The red-haired giant hugs the guy, laughing and saying, could it really be him? Everyone thought he was dead. Jiang Wang's second brother, Du Yihu, continues to loudly express his emotions, saying the guy really made them worry. A dispassionate voice rises from the crowd. Amazing! The first-named brother of the guy, Lin He, approaches them and says, how great it is that the third brother has returned. Du Yihu is still happy. He told them Jiang Wang didn't die, he just decided to go on a journey and forgot about them. Another young man teases the torn shirt of a guy with a folded fan, inviting everyone to take a look at the ragged clothes. Then, laughing, she says, did their brother only remember them when he ran out of money? The fifth-named brother, Zhao Ru Chen, unfolds his fan and adopts a serious expression, solemnly declaring, dear brother, Du Yihu says the guy can't avoid their drinking party today. Zhao Ru Chen shouts that this stinky tiger always wants to drink and uses the third brother as an excuse. The brothers speak over each other. A voice accuses Zhao Ru Chen of disrespecting his elders, while he insists he's genuinely happy to see the third brother. Jiang Wang's face darkens as he scans the crowd. Friends continue chatting cheerfully. The fifth sworn brother mentions Du Yihu's love for wine. They're asked to quiet down, and the young man is asked what really happened and why he looks so serious. The red-haired big guy leans toward Jiang Wang and asks what he's staring at, while all their friends follow his gaze. A young man, clearly just arrived to find out what all the commotion was about, says confusedly, the third brother. Another young man approaches their group from the crowd of students. The fourth brother, Fan Pengju, asks why he didn't say anything before leaving. They were so worried. Jiang Wang slowly says, exactly 57 days have passed. He thought about him every single day. But what about him? I wonder what was on his mind. What was he thinking all this time? Fan Pengqiu, unfazed and calling him brother, says he thinks there was some misunderstanding. After that incident, he was very worried and even sent people to look for him. His friends behind him try to intervene, but Zhao Ruchen stops them all. Du Yihu shouts, asking if he only thought about Fang Pengju. What about them? The guy replies he thought about them too, wondering how they could sleep peacefully while he was gone. The fifth sworn brother asks him to stop and suggests they first go to the academy. The surrounding students whisper excitedly. One wonders what lies behind Master Zhang's words, while another insists he always speaks sincerely and dismisses any nonsense. Lin He says the third brother must have been through a lot lately, and suggests talking in a calmer setting. If the guy was wrong, the brothers will protect him and fight to uncover the truth, even in higher courts, urging Jiang Wang not to act impulsively, as someone might want them to fight, but they shouldn't give in. The guy steps toward the box he had carelessly dropped from his shoulders earlier. He says he understands what troubles his older brother and deeply values their sworn friendship, so it pains him to admit that someone could betray their own brother for personal gain. Fan Pengju warns not to accuse anyone without proper evidence. The guy hits the box, shattering it into pieces, and shouts, "Here's the proof!" His so-called brothers step forward to see what he wants to show them. Fan Pengju's face twists with uncontrollable anger. A heavy-set man falls out of the broken crate, gagged and with his hands tied behind his back. The Fan family servant, Di Kai, is too weak to move, only mumbling incoherently as he tries to speak. Jiang Wang says that on that day, it was this servant who delivered a message from Pengju, inviting him to drink at the Moon Gazing Tower to celebrate his feat of defeating the gang on the Western Mountain, for which he received a meridian-opening pill. When he arrived, the fourth sworn brother was absent, and Di Kai persuaded him to try the wine Pengju supposedly brought for the occasion, never imagining it was poisoned. Like an arrow, Fan Pengju swoops down on the servant lying on the ground and drives his blade into his neck. The servant screams, calling him a monster, saying the Fan family pulled him out of the mud, yet he dared to conspire with bandits, forge a letter, and harm his third brother. His sword is stained with the blood of an elderly servant. Pulling his blade from the man's body, Fan Pengju says this scoundrel wove so many schemes to turn them against each other and tells the third brother not to believe his words. Jiang Wang turns away, saying he knew the young man would kill him. But Dikai had already written and signed a confession. He asks if Pengju wants to see him, who insists the servant lied, and asks what he must do to gain the young man's trust. Jiang Wang replies that his anger cannot be easily calmed. Death is the only way out. Hearing his words, the fourth brother shudders and asks, calling Jiang Wang brother, "How did it come to this?" His hand, gripping the blood-stained blade, trembles. He raises his sword overhead, saying the guy is right. If this is Dekai's doing, as head of the Fan family, he must take responsibility. If he believes it's fair, then let him take the sword and pierce him. He won't resist. With these words, still holding the blade above his head, he kneels before Jiang Wan, tears streaming down his face. Those around them shout that he shouldn't do it, insisting they believe him and wondering how he can talk about death so easily. The guy replies, "No need." Duehu says exactly the situation. But Jiang Wang doesn't listen to him. He draws his sword from the sheath strapped to his back. The guy says Fan Pengju's blade is too disgusting for him, so he prefers to use his own. For a few moments, the young man remains on his knees, holding the blade high above his head. Tears stream from his eyes as he realizes there will be no pardon, and that inevitable death awaits him. The sword, raised high above him, whistles down toward Fan Pengju's head. Duehu's eyes reveal disbelief in what is happening. Lin He is also stunned by the scene, while Zhao Ruchen is both surprised and frightened. The boy's sword relentlessly approaches Fan Pengju's bowed head. Jiang Wang's sword strikes down on the kneeling fourth sworn brother as Fan Pengju throws his blade aside. He bolts off and scrambles away on all fours from certain death. His blade clangs as it strikes the tiles paving the academy courtyard. The named brothers are shocked by what's happening. The red-haired giant asks skeptically if he's serious, and Zhao Ruchen says they all know the third brother well. He would only act like this in an extreme situation. Having pulled far ahead of Jiang Wang, Fan Pengju sits down without standing up and asks the young man if he has really forgotten their friendship. But the third brother's face shows he's serious. Jiang Wang tells him to shut up, saying his filthy mouth dishonors the meaning of friendship. The guy reminds his fourth brother that he just promised him his life, so why did he dodge? If he had died then, the story would have ended there. But since he survived, Fan Pengju must pay his debt. As he climbs, the young man asks why he's pretending to be the victim when he was given a chance to back down honorably. Fan Pengju no longer hides the anger twisting his face. He keeps saying the guy is too stubborn and insists he owes him nothing, so what debt is he rambling about? Jiang Wang responds that there is no point in further arguments since he refuses to admit his guilt. The guy decides to stop the pointless arguing and takes a step forward. Holding the sword before him, he bows to the great ancestor, declaring that his follower Jiang Wang was nearly killed by the traitor Pengju, and this anger cannot be washed away. He must exact revenge. The young man sees a deadly duel of justice as his only way out. Silence falls over the crowd as everyone is stunned by his words. Jiang Wang tells his fourth brother that, according to their clan's laws, he has no right to refuse. Fuming, Fan Pengju calls him a madman. Suddenly, a strong wind sweeps up the falling leaves, twisting them into a spiral. The wind is so strong that everyone can barely stand, and Duehu asks what's going on. Jiang Wang slowly lifts his gaze upward. Fan Pengju turns his head and looks up as well. A man descends from the sky, his cloak billowing behind him. The man climbs down onto the raised parapet. Shouts ring out in the yard. "Chief! Great chief!" Scanning everyone present, the man declares, "A deadly duel of justice, then." Clan leader Clen Dane agrees. All right. Raising his hand glowing with a greenish aura, he calls out to the jade cage. His fingers are tensed to the limit. Dane commands, "Rise!" Breaking through the tile, a green sprout pushes up from the ground. More and more of these shoots are growing, quickly climbing up and intertwining around the duelists. The sprouts grow into mighty vines, continuing their journey forward. A tight barrier formed around Jiang Wang and his fourth sworn brother, shielding them from the spectators with a sturdy wall. Vines twist even between the duelists standing on small islands untouched by plants. The deadly duel of justice is set. For a moment, silence falls as Jiang Wang and Fan Pengju prepare to clash. The fourth-named brother realizes that the head himself approved the deadly duel and knows he must flee, or else even if he kills Jiang Wang, the academy will launch an investigation. The young man rushes to the edge of the newly formed arena, intent on escaping, but one of the sprouts rises and reaches toward it. He stops just a few millimeters from Fan Pengju's pupil, who freezes in confusion at the unexpected surprise. The young man is forced to retreat, stepping back as he realizes escape is impossible. Don A says rules are rules. He orders Fan Pengju to draw his sword and fight. The same sprout, guided by the head, finds a blade and throws it to the youth. Fan Pengju, resigned, lowers his head and catches the weapon. The Maple Clan leader commands the deadly duel to begin. The academy students exchange surprised whispers. Jiang Wang, the clan's top-ranked, and Peng Ju, second, are about to fight to the death. This is no ordinary sparring match. Someone could die. Du Yihu calls out to the first of the named brothers, but he replies that the leader himself has intervened. They are powerless here. Meanwhile, the former sworn brothers are ready to start the duel, staring at each other, hesitant to make the first move. Fan Pengju tells his brother he could have just quietly come back. Why did it have to come to this? He explains that he just wanted to become stronger. Jiang Wang refuses to listen to his pitiful excuse and attacks the young man. Looking Fan Pengju straight in the eyes, the guy tells him to stop talking nonsense and promises that today he will die by his hands. The fourth brother, rushing toward him, says the guy's confident face always annoyed him. Fan Pengju's eyes radiate powerful qi, and incredible force emanates from him. The named brothers gasp in surprise. Due Hu exclaims that Pengju has opened the meridians, while Zhao Ruchen condemns him as shameless, confirming he really stole the pill from the third brother. Meanwhile, the young man, his face full of anger and anticipation, tells Jiang Wan that even if his swordsmanship is better, he has taken the meridian opening pill. What can he do against that now? The guy confidently steps forward toward his enemy. Jiang Wang says he stormed the Western bandits' lair for her, fought through countless bloody battles, and finally destroyed their nest, getting wounded 13 times, 2 of them fatal, and barely made it home. Energy flows along Jiang Wang's meridians, visible even to the naked eye. He says the pill was won through tears and blood. Did Fan Pengju really benefit from it? The fourth brother is scared, clearly not expecting this, and asks if Jiang Wang really opened the meridians too, unable to understand how it's possible since he stole the pill. The duelists rush at each other, their blades clashing with sparks flying. Fan Pengju is forced to retreat under the guy's pressure. Mentally, he curses, unable to understand how Jiang Wang managed it. Blood flows from the many cuts on his body. He is clearly scared. Mentally, he tells himself to calm down, reminding himself that over the past 57 days he has meditated and almost fully absorbed the pill into his body. Confident the young man is seriously wounded and won't last long, so Fan Pengju believes he must seize the opportunity. He charges into the attack, shouting, "Take this!" Fan Pengju starts to pressure Jiang Wang, giving him hope for a favorable outcome in the duel. The Maple Clan leader watches the duel with impartial eyes. The second brother yells at the guy not to lose to that scoundrel. Zhao Ruchen says thoughtfully, "It seems there's something wrong with his meridians too." Fan Pengju is confident in his abilities, clearly inspired by his recent success, and is preparing for another attack. Jiang Wang slightly increases the distance between himself and his opponent, wanting to focus. The young man attacks confidently, leaping toward Jiang Wan with his blade raised high. In his mind, Fan Pengju gloats. Just as he thought, the guy's meridian simulation didn't last long. He decides to bare his fangs at the right moment. Anticipating victory, he completely forgets caution and leaves himself open to a counterattack. Jiang Wang wastes no time and seizes the moment to strike the enemy. Stepping back slightly, he says the third brother seems to be in a bit of a hurry. Attacking him, Jiang Wang declares he wants to kill him immediately. He strikes and severs Fan Pengju's hand holding the sword. A wild scream echoes across the square as a severed limb with a blade falls to the ground. But Jiang Wang isn't about to stop now. His eyes blaze with fury and a thirst for revenge as he charges at his enemy. The guy elbows Fan Pengju in the chest. The blow is so powerful it shatters the young man's ribcage, crushes his bones, and causes intense pain. Injured Fan Pengju is knocked far backward. The vines come alive again, rushing toward him and tightly wrapping around the frightened young man's legs. They throw Fan Pengju back into the arena at his opponent's feet. Jiang Wang places his hand on the sword's hilt. The enemy's sword plunged into his side, and as he pulled it out, the young man said he had imagined this moment for all 57 days. He pulls out the blade, blood spurting from the wound, while the enemy trembles uncontrollably, not even trying to rise from where the vines threw him. Fan Pengju coughs, blood droplets flying from his mouth. He looks at the guy with hatred, thinking this scoundrel knew his weakness and planned to trap him. Jiang Wang deflects the enemy's blade and charges forward, declaring that his revenge will finally be fulfilled. Fan Pengju begs his third brother to spare him, but the vines he's sitting on are pushing him toward the approaching guy. He looks around in horror. Then the young man appeals to Don A, begging for help, while Fan Pengju explains he is the heir of the Fan family, one of the 3 main families in Maple Village. The leader tells him that rules are rules. A deadly duel must end with someone's death, so the young man's life is entirely in his opponent's hands. Fan Pengju watches in horror as Jiang Wang approaches relentlessly. He's practically looming over him now, and the young man asks for permission to explain everything. Ruthlessly staring at the trembling Fan Pengju, the guy says, "Let him speak." The young man hurriedly explains that no one in the Fan family has opened the gates of earth and sky for 20 years, and step by step he pursued his father's only dream. Does he really think he had much time for this? Jiang Wan was lucky to be born a genius and quickly obtained the meridian opening pill. He simply had no other choice. With horror in his eyes, the fourth sworn brother hurriedly admits his guilt, confessing he hasn't slept since stealing the pill, expressing deep regret and begging for forgiveness. After all, the guy is alive and they were once brothers. He pleads for mercy just this once. Jiang Wang raises his sword above his head. He forcefully drives it into Fan Pengju's chest, from whose mouth a scream bursts out, drowned by the rush of blood pouring from his throat. The guy says he can't forgive him for the 57 days he spent in pain and despair. Jiang Wang says, "Rest in peace." His grim face shows no triumph or joy, only the fulfillment of his duty. The guy listens to his feelings and analyzes the changes happening in his body. He realizes his meridians have suddenly become more flexible. Jiang Wang dives deeper into his consciousness, trying to understand his new self. Earth worm, is this his true spirit? A worm appears before his inner vision, with a noticeable glowing spherical swelling in its center. The swelling moves closer to the worm's head, then bursts of energy shoot from its mouth. The guy gasps. Now he realizes it was stimulating his meridians during the fight. His thoughts are interrupted by a call. Someone is urgently calling his name. The Maple Clan leader orders him to follow, and says the others are free to go. The young man obediently follows his order. The named brothers rush to Fan Pengju's body, and Lin He covers it with a coat. Entering the hall and stepping onto the raised platform with a small table, Don A says the young man couldn't provide clear proof before the duel and asks if that's correct. Jiang Wang confirms, explaining he was confident Dekai's testimony would suffice, expecting him to explain everything in his own words. The leader believes he should have waited for the court's decision and wonders if the other person thinks he acted recklessly. The guy says he understands everything, but with the inner circle elections in 2 days and Panju having opened the meridians, he would definitely be chosen, so he couldn't touch him and had to take the risk. Don A says, "Okay, if we assume Panju really stole his pill, how do we explain his discovery of the meridians?" He demands answers from the guy. Lowering his head, Jiang Wang explains that it happened in Hangzhou and tells how he found the pill on the body of a warrior named Zhou Guangli. He ends his story by saying the graves he left there can confirm his words, believing such a great battle couldn't have gone unnoticed and that the authorities are likely already aware, though he keeps silent about the Taihu world. The hand of the Maple Clan leader trembles involuntarily, overwhelmed by the emotions flooding his soul. Menacing vines burst from the floor, and Don Ah says this ruthless war is a great disaster for the Zhuang dynasty. The young man sadly bows his head in agreement. The chief says, "Good. Now he knows exactly where he got the pill." The man tells the boy he trusts him and lets him go. Jiang Wang bows respectfully and thanks the teacher. He's still bowing at the doorstep when the fifth sworn brother comes running toward him. The guy asks Zhao Ruchen why he's here and where the other brothers are. The young man, touching his chin with a folded fan, replies that the first brother promised to take care of Pengju's body, but the second brother has disappeared. Jiang Wang sadly lowers his head, thinking that he's probably drinking somewhere, though the truth is on his side. He can understand Du Yehu's feelings. The fifth brother, nudging the young man, tells him not to worry. Traitors who betray their brothers deserve death, and he's sure the older brothers will realize this soon. The young man urges him to slow down, knowing Jiang Wang is exhausted and needs rest, promising to treat him to good wine. He says he's really tired and wants to sleep, so Zhao Ruchen immediately stops and says, "All right." With a casual flick of his hand, he unfolds his fan. As he walks away from the guy, he says he'll have to go to Madame Miao Yu alone then, and Jiang Wang replies, "Go ahead." He has no objections. A young man stands before a closed door, hesitant to enter his own room filled with memories of the past, feeling that returning to his carefree life is no longer possible. He sighs, how quickly everything changed. He never could have imagined how his friendship with Fan Pengju would end. Then the guy finally decides and swings the door open, pausing for a moment on the threshold. He imagines how the room looked before. Carefree Fan Pengju polishing his sword with a handkerchief, saying it's perfect for his blade. The guy sighs. It's high-quality silk. Fan laughs, promising to wipe his boots with it next time. Du Yehu practices moves on the fifth sworn brother, thoughtful and responsible Lin. He says it's okay, he'll help wash it. Then the first brother asks the second to be more careful and not accidentally hurt Ru Chen. The fifth brother tries to bite Du Yehu's mighty bicep, shouting that the stench will be his doom, while the red-haired giant laughs and asks him to calm down. He hasn't washed for just 3 days. Fan Pengzhou, smiling broadly, continues polishing his blade with the young man's handkerchief. He thinks it's all in the past now. Tears stream down Jiang Wang's face, though just his revenge came at a great cost, and he will never be the same again. A little boy clutching a wooden blade can't hide his amazement. Wow, immortal. A ghostly warrior figure standing on a sword in the dark space says his essence is quite good and asks if he wants to come with him. Suddenly, another glowing boy appears, pushing his rival aside and asking the immortal master to take him. He wants to go! The boy who was first spoken to by the ghostly warrior says they are brothers and can train together. The immortal refuses, saying he will take only one apprentice. The phantom warrior continues to stand on the sword, suspended in midair. A glowing boy figure pushes his rival off the platform they stood on and shouts, "Die!" The rival falls into an endless abyss, screaming in terror. As he continues to fall, he begins to change and grow, soon plunging into the abyss as an adult Jiang Wang. The immortal says the other boy's abilities aren't as good as his, but his heart is much more ruthless. He must remember that the cultivator's path is an eternal battle. Jiang Wang wakes up with a scream, his torso tightly bandaged. The guy sighs, that dream again. The moon is visible through the open window. Opening the door, Jiang Wang leaves the room as the boy asks if he slept long and whether the first and second brothers have returned yet. He turns to the person he believes is his younger brother and asks if he has seen Lin He, but he can't see his face and doesn't immediately realize something is wrong. The man shakes his head and tells the guy he hasn't seen Lin He. He starts shaking his head more and more intensely, repeatedly saying, I didn't see. The neck can't hold and a crack appears, quickly spreading. His head falls to the ground and bounces like a ball. The shocked guy can't take his eyes off this creepy sight. But then the head stops and just gently sways from side to side. The headless torso twitches awkwardly, standing in place. Suddenly, his head snaps toward the guy, who takes off running, realizing they need to speed up because monsters have attacked their clan. The head, wildly rolling its eyes, baring its teeth and sticking out its tongue, keeps chasing him. He tries to hide in the room but fails as a green haze blocks the door, and his head hits an invisible barrier. Jiang Wang realizes that a barrier is blocking the space, and he can't hide in the room. Howling menacingly, the head lunges forward again while the body clumsily stumbles after it. The guy decides that first, he needs to open the meridians. He suddenly turns toward the terrifying pursuer. Using the Tsutsu shoot technique, he delivers a powerful kick to the head, sending it flying away swiftly. Like a cannonball, she rushes toward the body limping behind her. The guy realizes with horror that he has injured his leg. He looks down and sees a large torn wound on his foot. He drops to one knee to ease the pain in his leg, all while keeping a close eye on the monster chasing him. A torso holding a head by the hair tears open its shirt, revealing a skull embedded in its chest, eyes gleaming and teeth clicking. It admires Jiang Wang's strong legs, then asks when this outer circle disciple managed to open his meridians. The monster rests its head, bearing yellowed teeth, on the neck. The guy watches the monster's actions and thinks it can control corpses. It's way beyond him. He takes off running again, quickly turning the corner, thinking he must warn the brothers in the inner circle or many could be hurt. A guy runs up and crashes into an invisible barrier. As he feels around, he realizes the entire dorm is engulfed in the monster's aura, and wonders how he'll escape this trap. Jiang Wang opens the meridians and breaks through the barrier with a running start. Already in the air, it tucks its legs and rolls along the ground. He lands and tries to stand up. Suddenly, a voice booms. Brother Jiang is doing pretty well. He sees Li Changchu, a follower of the inner circle, standing on an ornate stone statue before him. He says the guy should leave it to him, and for now, he should head to the infirmary. The Maple Clan leader says they don't need help. They can handle it on their own. The guy, pointing to his wounded leg, tells Don A that the monster can control corpses, and one of the students is already dead. The leader points a glowing green finger at him and replies that he knows this. His energy, absorbing the poison, penetrates Jiang Wang's wound. Sweat streams down the face of the young man in intense pain. Under the influence of healing energy, the poison concentrates into a small sphere. Then the head's power pulls it out of the guy's body like a splinter. Jiang Wang breathes a sigh of relief. There is no longer any corpse poison in him. Don A and the guy watch as a silhouette rises from the academy yard into the sky. The clan leader says, first he kills their people and now he's trying to escape? He threatens ominously that the monster has no idea who he's dealing with. Don A strikes the ground with his hands, summoning a jade cage from its depths as sprouts immediately rise to the surface. They shoot toward the sky at incredible speed, making it clear the fugitive can't escape them. The skull on the monster's body curses. It didn't expect Don A to intervene. The head, held by both hands, asks, what now? The skull decides they need to split up. The head agrees, and the hands immediately push it away. Her head lands on the roof, using her hand like a foot. Watching the vines catch and wrap around her abandoned body, she decides they have no chance against Don A, so it's better to run. Meanwhile, the vines curled into a tight ball, hiding their prey inside, with sharp thorns protruding from all sides. The head swiftly hops across the roof to the very edge, then pushes off and takes flight, escaping in a hurry. Flying over the academy courtyard, she thinks they got what they wanted, a simple Taoist who accidentally unlocked the meridians, and laughs, knowing she's now safe to report to the lady. Suddenly, a huge fist crashes into her face. The academy gates grew two powerful arms made of vines, clearly ready for a fight. The head snaps in the opposite direction from the impact, cursing mid-air, never expecting Dane's control to reach this far. It hits the roof and soars back up again, vines ending not in fists, but huge pitcher plant flowers catch the unlucky fugitive. Dane climbs higher on another vine, asking how such a miserable worm dared to do whatever he pleased on his territory. Against the night sky with a bright moon, the vine-entangled head meets the clan chief Maple, lifted by the same vines. Dane sternly demands he reveal who he is, while the head dripping with blood pleads not to be killed and to come closer. Blisters glowing with a bluish aura appear on her. Grinning, the head says it will tell him everything once they're in the underworld. The man makes a gesture with his index finger. The Venus flytrap closes, hiding its prey beneath the petals. Bluish blisters appear on the flower petals. Don Ah says the monster dared to tarnish the honor of the Zhuang dynasty within their clan's territory. The man heads upward, announcing he's going to report to the city chief about what happened, adding that Qian Chu should handle the others himself. Bowing, he replies, "Understood." Zhang Wang watches the departing clan leader with admiration, marveling at his 5th rank power, wondering if he'll ever reach that level, unaware someone is reaching out to him from behind. The guy flinches when Zhao Ruchen pats him on the shoulder. Seeing it was the 5th named brother, Jiang Wang breathed a sigh of relief. He was scared for a moment, then asked if he had already returned. Tears well up under the young man's closed eyelids as he complains about spending the whole day in the incense tower without Lady Miao Yu showing up. Sobbing, Zhao Ruchen grabs the guy's hands and presses his head to his chest, saying he obviously grew up handsome and rich, so why? Before finishing, he breaks down even harder. The guy tries to stop him, saying enough, and asks if the young man has seen the 1st and 2nd brothers, who haven't returned to their rooms yet. The 5th brother says he has a guess where they might be and invites Jiang Wang to follow him as they weave through a crowd of excited students, overhearing fragments about the head intervening, a monster invading the clan, and even one person dying before entering an arched doorway. The 3rd and 5th brothers cross a stone bridge over the river and continue on. The young man explains that although the Fan family refused to claim the body, the 1st brother couldn't just leave it in a common grave, so now they must be somewhere along the Green Willow shore. From afar, they see a fire burning under an old willow, lighting up a fresh tombstone and Lin He standing nearby, while Du A Hu drinks greedily a little further away. Zhao Ruchen tells the guy, as he suspected, they're both here. Lin He turns around and notices them, and upon hearing his voice, the 2nd sworn brother also pays attention. Stepping forward, Zhao Ruchen says, "The only constant in this world is that the world is always changing. They once trained their swordsmanship here, but who could have imagined it would come to this?" All eyes are drawn to the tombstone, beside which a blade juts out of the ground. Lin He says Pengju helped him when he needed it, so he doesn't want him to rot in a mass grave and asks if the guy will blame him for that, to which Jiang Wang replies, "Of course not." Silence hangs in the air, with only the crackling of the fire breaking the night's stillness. The guy says they're no longer kids. Let the older brother's warm feelings for Fan Pengju stay with him, but he won't judge the desire to forget the 4th sworn brother, and Lin He agrees he's right. The eldest sworn brother says, as Ru Chen said, much will change in the future, and change often scares people. Meanwhile, the youngest sworn brother wanders in the water, and Du A Hu keeps drinking from the bottle. Zhao Ruchen sneaks up to the 2nd sworn brother and, with a sly smile, asks what's going on here. Pointing at the red-haired giant with a fan, he laughs. Du A Hu whines like a baby, while the 2nd brother curses, calling him a lousy rat. He raises his leg to strike. Zhao Ruchen hurriedly retreats, calling out to Lin He and Jiang Wanyu, "Save me." He admits he was wrong. The eldest brother approaches the water's edge and says, "Change is inevitable. We must enter the current and go with the flow." He looks back at the young man, a faint, barely noticeable smile appearing on his lips. The youth says that as long as their hearts are pure, they can face the future calmly and without fear, then asks if Jiang Wang agrees. The guy thoughtfully repeats after him, "Pure hearts." He also approaches the water's edge, the river splashing against the shore at his feet. Jiang Wang lifts his head resolutely and gazes into the distance. Meanwhile, Du Ye Hu catches up with the 5th sworn brother under the bridge. A guy rushes over shouting he'll help pull down his pants. Zhao Ruchen protests, whose side is he on, and calls out to Lin He to help him, while the eldest sworn brother watches their scuffle from afar, warning them to fight all they want, but not to touch Ru Chen's handsome face. Then a shout rings out over the river. "Let go! Have mercy! We're brothers!" Followed by cheerful laughter and splashing. At the entrance of the ruined temple on the hill, hangs a sign split in two. In the surviving corners of the house, cobwebs hang and everywhere is desolation. A graceful woman's hand with bright nail polish touches the table surface, with the edge of a luxurious garment visible. A girl in a pink dress sits at an old dirty table. In the doorway, part of a cloaked figure is visible. A voice is heard. They really are. Under the cloak's hood, a skull is visible as its owner brings a beautifully embroidered handkerchief to the hollow where a nose once was. The Taoist of the White Bones, called the Messenger, complains that it's very dirty here, but his companion disagrees. Dirty. The Zhang family has searched every inch here multiple times, and she believes they won't find a cleaner place than this. The girl in the pink dress, a white-boned Taoist known as the White-Boned Saint, adds with a delicate pinky to her lips. The great Zhou Guangli died here, and she can still feel his aura. The envoy suggests getting straight to the point, saying that dealing with Maple Forest's leader Val Fane was always necessary, but someone like Don A could cause even more trouble. So the longer they delay, the greater the risk, and it's better to start capturing cultivators for sacrifices immediately. The tip of a stiletto touches the messenger's neck. The saint, whose hairstyle is adorned with several stilettos made like hairpins, asks, "Cultivators? Don A's disciples? Or maybe generals of Velfen?" Killing just one follower from the outer circle caused such an uproar. If he wants, she can find him a less twisted way to die. He could cut off his own head or summon a lightning strike. Anything's better than falling into the hands of those two, she thinks. Raking the tip across the messenger's jawbone hard enough to spark, she withdraws the stiletto. The white-boned saint says they must be quieter than water and lower than grass until the child of Tao appears. One wrong move and neither she, he, nor their entire clan can handle the consequences. So the messenger asks, what should they do about the sacrifices when there are no more wanderers or beggars left? Stretching lazily, the pale saint replies, so be it. They weren't counting on this place anyway. The elders have a new plan, and she just came here to tell him. Meanwhile, she slowly descends the steps, walking away from her companion. Without turning around, she keeps talking. Besides, he knows not all the wanderers from this temple died, right? In the village of Klena, she caught a familiar scent. The messenger replies that he has no interest in ordinary beggars. The white-boned saint slowly moves away from the ruins as the messenger advises her not to get arrogant just because she holds the status of a Tao child woman, warning that he might not even acknowledge her in this world before fading away like a blot on the steps. The saint says, how could he not love her? She waited and preserved herself for so long. The academy students sit on the floor at low tables while the teacher is positioned on a small platform. The eldest and the third of the named brothers listen closely to his story as the old man's words flow calmly. He is the ancestor of all beings, existing long before any earthly emperor. Du Yihu is dozing, resting his head on his hand, while Zhao Ruchen, sitting behind him, reaches out with a feather, aiming to tickle the red-haired giant's nose. Meanwhile, vice-head of the Taoists, Song Chi-fan, holding a fan in one hand and an incense burner in the other, continues his calm explanation. They have just entered the inner circle, and until their meridians open, they can only train their breathing techniques and qi. The true path of the cultivator begins only when the meridians open, as these meridians hidden in the spine, also called the Palace of Dantian, are the key to achieving immortality. He tells the students that unlocking the heavenly chakra will elevate them to a higher rank, then asks who among them can explain the cultivator ranks. Lin He raises his hand to answer the teacher's question, and Song Qifang waves his fan to give him permission. The guy's older sworn brother says there are 9 ranks, from lowest to highest. Yumai, Zhoutian, Tongtian, Tenglong, Zhou, Wailu, Shenlin, and Yandao. Vice leader of the Taoists, Song Qifang, is pleased with the response and says, not bad. The 9th rank marks the beginning of the path, characterized by forming the Tao spiral in the Tongtian Palace. To create the Tao spiral, one must master the basic matrix pattern that their clan intends to teach its disciples. He tells them that in the future, when they gather enough energy and distribute it across 81 Gaian matrices, their spiral will be formed. Meanwhile, an angry Du Yehu caught the mischievous Zhao Ruchen, pinned him under his arm despite the youth's desperate struggles, and shoved his thick fingers into his nostrils. The 5th named brother thrashes his legs desperately, nearly hitting Jiang Wang, who tries to push his kicking limbs away. The teacher keeps speaking without showing that he clearly sees the student's mischief, knowing that at the early stage of opening meridians, an ordinary person can grasp no more than 2 Tao entities a day. Suddenly, Du Yihu and Zhao Ruchen are hit right in the face. They sit motionless in their places, fists made of incense smoke hovering over them, fueled by the master's power. Sun Qifang continues, saying it will take at least 41 days to form the matrix. Fanning the smoke from the incense burner, he explains that to reach the Zhou Tian rank, one must connect 3 Dao spirals. Achieving this lets them sense the heavenly chakra, and unlocking it elevates them to the 7th rank. Jiang Wang says it takes 81 Dao entities for 1 spiral, and for the Zhou Tian rank, you need 3 of these. He's trying to figure out how much time he'll need. 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 3 is 9. If he can only gain 2 Dao entities a day, reaching the 7th rank will take... Lunhe turns to the guy and says, 365 days, but that's in theory. It all depends on talent and character, and once the first spiral forms, energy will be produced faster. Jiang Wang says he understands and thanks his older brother. The young man reflects that Master Don A reached the 5th rank at 60 and is already considered a genius. He fears to imagine how powerful those warriors were and wonders if he can surpass them. The teacher says to reinforce today's lesson, he will give them homework to review the basics of Taoist techniques. Jiang Wang explained that techniques are also divided into classes A, B, and C, which are further split into subclasses. Zhao Ru Chen sighs, believing poverty has made the third brother narrow-minded, while the guy warns his fist will soon test his face. The teacher explains to the students about top-tier techniques. Those who master them can single-handedly destroy a small nation, and if their country had even one such person, the whole world would take notice. As for the divine techniques, all the students fall silent, waiting expectantly at his words. Sun Qifeng says this is beyond mortal understanding, and hopes they will one day become the pride of the Zhuang dynasty. With that, he ends the lesson and dismisses the students. Jiang Wang and his elder sworn brother leave the academy together. The guy hears someone call his name and ask him to wait. He turns around and asks, "What happened?" Before them stands Fan Hilin, a member of the inner circle, who nods slightly in greeting and explains he is from one of the 3 main families of Maple Village, the son of Head Fan, here to apologize for Fan Pengju's disgraceful behavior, which has led to his removal from the family tree, as their family has never condoned dishonor. The second older brother joins their group, and together they move forward. Jiang Wang casually replies without even looking back at the young man that it's all in the past. But Fan Helin cuts him off, asking him to wait. He wonders why the guy is in such a hurry since he's not finished yet, while Zheng Wanu, annoyed by the persistence and unpleasant memories tied to the 4th sworn brother, bluntly asks what he wants. The young man says his father bought a meridian opening pill yesterday and gave it to him, so his meridians are now open too. He believes they're different from the local riffraff and should come together. The guy walks by, deliberately bumping his shoulder to show his disdain for the offer, but politely apologizes as he does. He says he's not interested and moves on, with his friends following him, while Fan Helen watches them go, confused. His face twists with a mask of rage as he clenches his fists and warns the guy he'll regret this. Night falls. Lin He closes his eyes and sinks into meditation. The red-haired giant, unlike him, looks tense even when meditating. Sitting cross-legged opposite them, the guy thinks about how the brothers are practicing breathing techniques, and that he better not slack off. But he can't focus because the promised quest in the world of Taihu is supposed to start today. He looks at his palm, where a thin crescent glows. A guy decides to transport himself to a mysterious world to find out what it's all about. Jiang Wang finds himself at the center of the circle again as a voice welcomes the master of the sacred land, Don Zhenhu. The guy looks at the golden glowing Dao simulation platform as a calm voice announces, "The quest begins in..." The countdown begins. 19. 18. Jiang Wang draws his sword, wondering who he will have to fight, as the count continues. 12, 11. The guy thinks he's fully absorbed the pill and gained several essences in these 30 days. He hopes to last at least 2 rounds as the countdown continues. 3, 2, 1. Holding his breath, Jiang Wang hears the announcement that the opponent did not show up. He is joyful, which means this sacred land still belongs to him. The voice announces that the sacred land of Don Zhenhu remains at level 23. 1,850 honor points added. Total, 3,700 points. The guy thinks they should be spent. He is accessing the Dao simulation platform. The guy says that, according to some information that suddenly popped into his head, he just needs to put his hands on the table that has appeared in front of him. He says the simulation will start if he silently repeats the desired technique to himself. A golden scroll appears on the table. The guy places his hand on it. In his mind, he hears, Guan Matrix, 1,850 points. The voice sounds again announcing, starting the simulation, analyzing, reconfiguring. The remaining points are 1,850. The guy is congratulated, being told he has mastered the Gaian Matrix. Jiang Wang looks at the scroll on the table, puzzled, and says, "It's so long." He wonders if he should save the glasses for later, though no one knows what tomorrow will bring. He believes it's best to level up as much as possible now. The young man lowers his hand on the table again, eager to study defensive fencing. A book appears before him, and as Jiang Wang flips through its pages, he wonders what secrets this manual bought from a street stall might hold, as the simulation begins anew. The guy's mind races through various defensive fencing techniques, thrilled as his remaining points hit 0. Zhao Ruchen rubs his wrist, cursing in frustration. He's usually winning 3 out of 10 times, but today he's lost 20 in a row and asks his third brother what kind of technique this is. Sheathing his blade, Jiang Wang explains he stumbled upon it by chance. It includes 9 training forms and 5 attacks, and though he's only learned half, his sword skills have already improved significantly. He laments that this technique has no name, says the younger brother definitely has literary talent, asks if Ru Chen can help, and the young man replies he finds her unpredictable and fierce. He asks, how does the guy like the name Almighty Divine Sword? Jiang Wang punches him in the head, telling him to take his request more seriously. The young man thinks aloud, muttering to himself. There are 9 training forms and 5 combat ones in it. Zhao Ruchen has a huge bump on his head, and finally says he thinks the purple chi of the east will be perfect. The boy repeats the newly invented name after him, as if tasting it, thinks it sounds good, and decides that's what the weapon will be called, raising the blade as if performing a naming ritual. The solemnity of the moment is broken by a young man who jumps on Jiang Wang, wrapping his arms and legs around him, and the guy asks in surprise what he's doing. He says he wants to learn it too and begs to be taught, just as a cough is heard. Before them bows Uncle Den, the Zhao family servant holding a sword, with Li Qianchu, an inner circle follower, standing behind him, reporting they have been searching for the young man. Jiang Wang follows Li Qianchu through the entrance arch, explaining that Li's elder brother had to find him to deliver a message and apologizing, while wondering why Master Dan needed him. Li Qianchu, who leads the way, says it's just a message, and he's not from a prestigious family, so Jiang Wang has nothing to worry about. He doesn't know why the master summoned him, but suspects it's connected to the recent attack, thinking Master Dan found something in the Lord's estate. They approach the building, and seeing 2 more people at the door, Li Qianchu says everyone is already here. The guy is surprised. It turns out he's not the only one called. As they approach, Fan Heilin turns to them and asks Li Qianchu if he was sent for Jiang Wan. Then he says that he and his older brother Jiang had to wait for them, and the young man and his companion politely greet the second youth. 5th-year Inner Circle disciple Zhang Lihuang says they would have to wait anyway, as Master Dan is still meditating. All 4 freeze in anticipation by the door. Dan A appears and everyone present bows in greeting. The man says everyone knows about the recent attack and murder of an Outer Circle follower, and although the investigation is in full swing, it has yet to yield any results. He believes they cannot let outsiders interfere in their affairs, so now they will handle it themselves, and if successful, they will receive 8th-rank rewards. Don Ah warns them that the meridians of Jiang Wang and Fang He Ling have just opened, so they should be careful. The latter is visibly shocked, unable to believe the reward is so great. The leader continues speaking, addressing Zhang Lihuan and Li Qianchu. Each will take 1 under their wing, and they will complete the task in pairs. The man adds that 90% of the reward will go to those who perform the best. All 4 bow together and say yes. He turns and leaves, waving his hand. They are free. 2 small fish swim in the water as a voice says. Friends from the investigation department have shared 2 interesting details. Zhang Lihuang says the first clue is that 3 days before the attack, the demon was in the Fulai Tavern, where some traces might remain. Second, a whole family was brutally killed in Tanshan, with chi traces found at the crime scene. He asks his younger brothers what they think about the investigation and pairing up. Fan Heilin says he definitely wants to unite with his older brother Li, as the Fan and Zhang families have long and strong ties, so he's unsure what to do. Li Qianchu believes the decision should be left to the older brother. Jiang Wang supports him. He thinks the same way. Zhang Lihuang starts to speak, but Fang Heilin interrupts him, telling Jiang Wan that his older brother asked for their opinion, and all the guy did was just repeat what Li's brother said. Does he have no brains of his own? As Zhang Lihuang descends the steps, he says they leave tomorrow. Li Qianchu will go to the Fulai Tavern, while he and Jiang Wan will head to Tangshan. Fan Helin is confused. What about the connection between their families? A black crow circles above the stele engraved with Tanshan. 2 riders gallop down a forest road, passing a beast's skull lying by the roadside. They pass by a man walking toward them carrying a basket. Jiang Wang and Zhang Lihuang are already driving through the city streets. The guy says locals live by hunting, with gatherings twice a month. But today's not one of those days, so the streets are empty, and his companion responds, "Is that so?" Zhang Lihuang believes his younger brother prepared well before heading out on the mission. The guy thinks his companion is an outstanding student. Yes, he was ordered to lead him, but he can't let him down and thanks the young man. By one of the yards, a warrior meets them, and Zhang Lihuang hands him the reins of his horse. A warrior introduces himself as Tan Dan, a local constable, who believes the young men have a great future ahead and asks for help. Tan Dan complains to the guys who dismounted. They're honest people, so why are they going through all this? A seal hangs on the gate's lock, signaling that outsiders are not welcome here. Zheng Li Huang tells the constable to unlock the door, who replies hesitantly, "Okay." The man swings the doors wide open in front of the guys. Zheng Li Huang immediately brings the handkerchief to his nose. An unbearable stench fills the yard. Near the gate lies a dog's skeleton, and on the doorstep of the outbuilding, a human skeleton dressed in a decayed caftan. The boys enter the yard while the constable stays outside, warning them to be careful because this place is crawling with evil. In the house, they see a skeleton kneeling before the table, still reaching for chopsticks, with a bowl of porridge in front of it. Their attention is drawn to the contents of the plate. Zheng Wang wonders in surprise. How can the food still be fresh while the body has already turned to a skeleton? Another demonic power? The young man places his hand on the hilt of the blade strapped to his back and asks his companion, who stands behind him covering his nose with a handkerchief in disgust, if they can enter. The youth replies affirmatively. They will split up, and Jiang Wang should report back if he finds anything interesting. The guy walks inside and approaches the next door, pulling back the curtain covering the entrance. Jiang Wang enters a room with a rocking horse in the center, realizing it's a child's room. A girl's skeleton sits against the wall among scattered toys. The skull still has hair tied in ponytails adorned with bows. Jiang Wang understands that the father worked in the yard, the mother cooked, and the daughter played in the room. He walks over to the table and picks up the sheet of paper lying on it. The image shows a man carrying a girl on his shoulders, a woman reaching out to support the child, and a dog running after them, while the young man bitterly reflects on how the demon destroyed an ordinary family. Suddenly, a foul breath escapes from the skull's mouth. Covering his nose with a sheet of paper, the guy swears. Emitting a stench, the girl's skeleton rushes toward him, screaming, "Big brother!" A guy meets a skeleton with a kick to the skull. It flies far back and crashes into the wall. The skull rolls across the floor, muttering, "Oh, oh, oh." The hero who just cried over the girl's fate has now destroyed the only thing left of her with his own hands. What hypocrisy. With his blade ready, the young man says this is the work of a demon and it won't shake his heart, believing this place is sealed off by magic, or his older brother would have arrived long ago. The demon says he's a stubborn kid. Well, he won't be leaving this room anyway. He starts to snicker nastily. Jiang Wang thinks if he could deal with him, he wouldn't toy with his conscience. He knows the demon wants to confuse him for a surprise attack and is sure he's nearby, then says, "So he means no one can get out of here." Perfect. He uses the first form of the Eastern Purple Chi technique, speed deception. A liquid drips down the young man's sword. He thinks, as expected, his sword can indeed harm the demon. From a narrow crack slicing through the space, part of a demon's face can be seen. The room is surrounded by a protective field, and through a gap in it, a demon outside watches the boy. This is a first-rank Taoist technique, dividing yin and yang, an imitation. The demon is puzzled. The boy managed to wound him with a simple sword. This kid's Tao spiral isn't even formed yet, but his fencing skills have already reached great heights. Don't underestimate him. Jiang Wang swings his blade angrily and shouts, "The demon thinks it can hide?" Zheng Li Huang appears in the doorway and asks, "Is the guy okay?" Jiang Wang thinks things are bad. The demon seems to have escaped. He quickly leaves the room, and the surprised young man, barely dodging aside, asks what happened. Jiang Wang explains that a demon trapped him here and just escaped, then asks if his older brother senses its trail. The guy scans the room with a wary look. He sees the table chopped into pieces, where he had earlier seen a woman's skeleton. At the threshold lie human bones radiating residual negative energy. Zheng Li Huang says 2 skeletons came to life, but he dealt with them quickly. So the guy was fighting a demon cultivator? Jiang Wang agrees, regretting he couldn't deliver a fatal blow and let the demon escape. But his companion believes that was enough. He holds out his hand to catch the drops of demonic blood dripping down the blade. Using internal energy, he forms a small sphere, explaining that the chief knows the 6 trigrams technique to track the creature by its blood. They leave the house. Zheng Li Huang says they've gathered valuable information and need to head back. Slightly turning his head to the guy walking behind him, he asks, "This whole situation seems to have really affected him?" Sad Jiang Wang explains he has a half-sister on his father's side, whom he is very close to. After their father died years ago, she and her mother remarried and moved to Wangjiang, and he hasn't seen them since, so finding the girl's remains made him think of his sister and what might have been, driving him momentarily mad, and he asks his older brother to forgive him. Jiang Wang gives the constable a small pouch of money. Already seated on his horse, he asks the man to bury these people with dignity, and Tan Dan thanks him. Horses gallop past the stele bearing the name of the city Tanshan. The guy riding behind the satellite says, "Even in a place this remote, there are roads guarded by formations. It's scary to imagine how much money is spent on this every year." Zheng Li Huang says that even such huge investments only protect against wild animals and weaker monsters. Travelers will have to deal with anything stronger, especially the ferocious beasts. Jiang Wang replies that while wild animals are straightforward, Other monsters, though dangerous, can be useful for making potions and elixirs. But what exactly are these ferocious beasts? The satellite explains that fierce monsters are beasts possessed by an evil spirit or demon animals that have lost their minds. He explains that in such cases, their skin, fur, bones, and flesh deteriorate and become unusable, damaging the meridians so no pills can be made from them. The young man says that despite their uselessness, they are not lacking in strength, so encountering them will only bring trouble, which is why they are also called disaster beasts. Jiang Wang thanks his older brother for the explanation. Zhang Li Huang turns to him and says it's now his turn to ask questions, noting that the same thing happened in both Maple Village and Tanshan. Zhang Wang looks at his companion with surprise and a hint of caution. He keeps talking. Demons circle around him every time. What draws them to him? What's his secret? He curls his fingers, leaving only his index and pinky extended, with energy crackling between them. The guy's eyes widen in surprise. He thinks, secret? Maybe only the illusory world of Taihu. Zhang Li Huang delivers an energy strike, and the guy's horse rears up. But his strike only shatters the arrow relentlessly heading toward the guy. A voice rings out. He's been waiting for them a long time. Now he's going to deal with them. Zhang Li Huang rushes toward the voice, so fast that even his horse crouches from the force of his leap. A shadow rushes between the trees. A voice warns, "Be careful with this one." A guy shouts, "Big Brother Zhang!" He rushes into the forest thicket, realizing he hears the voice of the creature from Tanshan. The guy uses the first form of the Eastern Purple Chi technique, speed deception. Moving through the trees, he exclaims, "The creature fears him." The demon sneers and replies, trying to provoke him? Let him not get cocky. He's not afraid of him, but of his companion, Zhang Li Huang. The guy uses the second form of the Eastern Purple Chi technique, deception of precision. Jiang Wang declares that for killing innocents, he sentences him to death. The demon kicks huge logs toward the guy, who admits his sword skills are decent, but in the end, he's just a pathetic underdog kid. The demon's biceps swell, tearing the bands around them as he says he'll now show just how big the difference between them is. The demon's hand grows unbelievably huge. Its fist strikes the guy who barely dodges, as the demon unleashes its own technique, explosive corpse. The young man resists, trying to stop the demon with his blade, but the demon's hand not only grows longer but becomes harder than stone, revealing the power of Taoist techniques. Jiang Wang fights off flying tree trunk slices, realizing this is far from the demon's full power. The guy knows that all he has is the purple chi of the east and 20 accumulated Tao entities. The demon attacks the guy, saying it's too late for regrets. He'll be wiser in his next life. Jiang Wang charges headlong at the massive fist hurtling toward him. Pointing his sword forward, he knows there's no escape. He must use every trick at once to catch the demon off guard. Using the Eastern Purple Chi's third form, piercing deception, the boy attacks the demon, slicing its massive arm to pieces. The enemy didn't expect such agility. The demon, missing one of its limbs, curses. Did this boy have something like that hidden away? A demon descends from the sky straight into the heart of the forest. His face no longer shows arrogance. Fear is clearly visible. As he lands, he thinks fighting the guy up close is foolish and better to avoid. He radiates the poisonous, rotting corpse mist. Poisonous green mist billows from his mouth. The stench quickly spreads through the forest thicket. The demon's poisonous breath reaches the mushrooms growing by the fallen tree trunk. They instantly lose their life force and wither away. The demon thinks he can easily hide and strike from the fog, certain this boy is finished. But now he watches in horror as the boy approaches, his purple light dispersing the green fog conjured by the demon. He fears he failed to stop the enemy using the sword's protective aura. Jiang Wang uses the fourth form of the Eastern Purple Chi, deception of concentration, allowing him to get close to the demon. He is determined to show the opponent the power of his equipment. Jiang Wang uses the fifth form of the Eastern Purple Chi technique, deception of intent, as his sword strikes toward the demon. He is full of bewilderment. How does a novice Taoist have such abilities? Jiang Wang's sword hits its mark. The demon's body, split in two, is still standing. The young man, gripping the blade tighter, declares, "The sentence is carried out." The demon's lower jaw falls to the ground into a pool of blood. The boy's sword is crumbling into tiny pieces. He collapses to the ground with a groan, a trickle of blood dripping from his mouth. Wiping sweat from his brow, he says his body can't yet handle the strain of using all 5 forms at once. Suddenly, a figure appears before him. But since Jiang Wang is sitting on the ground, he can't see who it is. 2 demon heads appear before his eyes, baring their teeth. Looking up, the young man exhales. "Zhang Li Huang," he says, just as he thought. That demon wanted to get rid of them so the Taoists wouldn't follow his trail. The young man holding 2 demon heads by their hair kept speaking, but he never expected a boy without even 1 Tao spiral to defeat an 8th-rank demon. He had hoped to capture him alive for more information. He releases heads from his hand, and they bounce across the ground like balls. Zhang Lihuang carefully wipes his hands with a handkerchief. As he climbs up, the guy says the creature got scared of his older brother and panicked, which is why he managed to kill it. His life was on the line, so he didn't think about preserving it, and the young man replies that he doesn't blame him, but actually admires his skills. Zhang Wang asks, maybe they can learn something from the corpse. Zhang Lihuang sighs. It won't work. He's already tried summoning their souls. They head toward the road as Zhang Lihuang explains their failure was due to a curse erasing their essence upon capture or death, leaving no memory behind, making it pointless to bring them to the clan. The guy replies that he understands. Zhang Lihuang says the priority now is to tend to his wounds, but Jiang Wang insists he's fine and they must not delay the mission. They need to return to the clan and report immediately. The young man agrees, but insists that the security protocols were breached and this must be reported to the authorities. Night has fallen over the city, but the lights still flood the waterfront and the buildings along it. A man is flirting with a woman on one of the balconies. The face of Deputy Head of the Investigation Pavilion, Hu Dong, is twisted with a mask of lust. Holding the folded blanket, he whispers passionately, "Miao you," promising to do whatever she wishes. A man on the bed keeps kissing the blanket, while a kneeling warrior with his face partially covered stands in the middle of the room, asking the lady if they should deal with the Taoists from Tangshan. A girl admiring the night view on the balcony yawns and replies no. Turning to the warrior, she says she wants to learn more about the boy Jian, who defeated their follower using only swordsmanship. What kind of technique is that, and who taught him? The interlocutor says her humble servant is unaware of this matter. All he knows is that this technique has never been studied before in the Klen clan. The girl casually waves her hand, signaling that he can go. The warrior vanishes, muttering. At the bottom of a forgotten river, the source of yellow streams, a fallen god returns to the world, destroying humanity, leaving behind only a small dark puddle. A girl left alone wonders. Technology never studied in the clan? If it didn't come from a great master, then only one remains. The child of Tao. She continues to admire the moon, half lying down. The fish is swishing its tail in the water. A hand hovers over the head of a person possessed by a demonic entity, using the soul search technique. Don Ah pulls back his hand glowing with a bluish aura, and it falls to the ground. Nearby, Jiang Wang, Zhang Lihuang, Fang Helin, and Li Changchu stand in a semicircle, one asking if the teacher managed to find out anything. The man explains that this person's mind is cursed and has lost all memory. Fan Helin says this means he's not so simple. Powerful people are behind him, and this is more serious than they thought. Don A cuts him off, enough talking, and asks Zhang Lihuang what's going on over there. Bowing respectfully, the young man explains that the 3 demon cultivators they met in Tanshan were all cursed with mind control, so there was no point in leaving them alive. He killed 2, and Zhang Wang dealt with the last one alone, which Fan Helin questions in disbelief. Don A looks thoughtfully at the guy and says, "Not bad." Zhang Wang says he was just lucky, while Fan Helin mutters under his breath that at least he knows his place. The leader, turning away from them, announces their mission is complete, and each will receive 5 Dao merits. He adds they are free to go, to which the 3 guys respond affirmatively, but Fan Helin asks, "What?" Li Changchu wonders what the guy will do now. He says he plans to go to the Dao Merit Pavilion, but Zhang Lihuang is upset because they were promised the mission would be rated 8th rank, yet each only got 5 merit points, and Fang Helen says they achieved nothing, so 5 points is actually generous. A young man stands before the tower entrance, where a sign reads Pavilion of Dao Merits. He walks inside and sees that the walls are completely filled with pull-out drawers. Jiang Wang asks to reveal the list of Dao's achievements. Flames rise higher and higher, and the guy is amazed by how many resources went into creating this pavilion. He thinks that Li's older brother being 17th in rank is amazing, and Zhang's brother is 3rd with 700 merits. Imagine how much he must have done to earn that. The guy sees the names. Zhang Li Huang 700, Wei Yan. Zhang Wang is stunned. He's in 2nd place, but doesn't seem to be from their clan. Though his surname is Wei, so he must be connected to Wei Qiji, the head of Maple Village. But who's in 1st place? He is absolutely stunned. Zhu Wei was scored 1300, insane, nearly double the 2nd place. The guy's face darkens as he realizes Zhu Wei Wo is a world-renowned follower of their clan, fighting missions no lower than 7th rank, rumored to rival the leaders of other clans in their dynasty. The young man mentally asks the Dao merit list to help him find the sword with the fewest Dao merits needed for release, and one of the drawers high above opens. A box falls down, spilling out a standard magical sword forged by a master from the Zhuang Kingdom, made of pure steel with a groove to channel Dao energy and preserve technique, costing 300 Dao merits to unlock. Holding the blade, the young man wonders if it holds any special skills, and if it will greatly enhance his abilities. But since he lacks 300 merits, He'll just have to admire it for now. His thoughts are interrupted by a round, smiling face. Could it be a newcomer? Jiang Wang jumps back in fear, dropping his sword, as a solidly built man stands before him, slightly bowing and introducing himself as a third-year student named Wang Changxiang. Coming to his senses, the young man bows in greeting, asks for forgiveness, and introduces himself, saying he recently joined the inner circle. Van Changxiang also apologizes for the interruption, assuring he didn't mean to scare him, and the young man politely replies it's no problem. Van Changxiang believes it's fate and that they will meet again. Jiang Wang bows politely. Yes, he is also confident they will meet again. Looking at the man standing before him, he thinks, Wan Changxiang? A member of the Wan family, one of the main families in Maple Village, ranked 7th in the Dao merit list, far above Brother Li. His thoughts are interrupted by his younger brother, who runs up waving a letter. Raising it above his head, he announces, an urgent letter from his home. Jiang Wang tears open the envelope and reads the letter, which addresses him as Little Wang and asks how he is doing and if he's taking good care of himself. Meanwhile, much has changed in his stepmother's life, leaving her no time or energy to contact him sooner. Though at first the herbal medicine shop left by his father brought in good income. But unfortunately, at some point, she caught the attention of important people from the Lin family. Rest assured, she won't let her father's legacy slip away easily. Yet until this is resolved, there are concerns that Anan might get caught up in it all. She's always been timid, so it could affect her deeply, and the guy is begged to look after her until things become clear. When it's all over, the girl will come back. Under the letter is Aunt Sun's signature, and Jiang Wang clearly didn't expect such news, repeating his sister's name in confusion. The little girl with bright green eyes is calling her brother. In the clearing stands a round table with a girl, Jiang Wang, and his friends nearby. Zhao Ruchen tells her she's adorable. Lin He asks the third brother to reach out if he needs help, and the guy at the table asks the girl if she wouldn't mind staying with him for a while. The girl is clearly upset. Frowning, Anan asks her brother, does mom not need her anymore? Jiang Wang even jumps in his chair. He says, of course not. Her mom is just very busy, and he'll keep an eye on her for a bit. The guy casts a meaningful glance at his friends. They all nod in unison. Everyone understands. I immediately scoop the little girl up in my arms. They rush headlong, shouting that they're about to give little Anan a tour of Maple Village, boasting about their amazing market, while the fifth brother promises to cover all expenses today, leaving the little one stunned by their kindness. She sits on the shoulders of a red-haired giant who shouts that her steed Duehu will keep her little feet from getting tired. They stroll through the market, buying all kinds of treats, with the little girl proudly leading the way. Together, they try to feed the fierce chained dog with the newly bought sweets. Then they rally the shuttlecock on the clearing. A paper bird soars against the backdrop of a sunset sky. She falls to the ground, and Jiang Wang says it's no big deal. They'll launch her again. But Anan, sitting on the guy's shoulders, protests. She wants to go home. The guy asks, was she having fun? From now on, her older brother will be with her every day. Is she okay with living with him? The girl answers, of course she wants it. She can't find the words to explain to her brother why she feels so sad, even though they had fun all day. The saddened fifth and first named brothers look at the upset girl. Du Yi-hu sighs and says you just can't forget about it. The little girl sitting on her brother's shoulders starts to cry. She wants to go home. Could it be that her mother doesn't need her anymore? Jiang Wang says Auntie Song will come back for her very soon. He gently lifts the little girl off his shoulders and holds her close, telling her not to be afraid. While their mom is away, he, her brother, will always be there for her. But she keeps crying. Lin He approaches them and hugs them both. He says he will always be there for them too. The fifth brother follows his lead, shouting for them not to forget the handsome Ru Chen. The emotional second foster brother rubbed his eyes with his fists, wiping away tears, and cursed as he said it reminded him of his parents. He rushes to his brothers, wrapping them in strong arms. He wants hugs too. Anna pushes away the guys gathered around her, shouting that she understands everything and to stop choking her. Jiang Wang feels uncomfortable staying in the clan dorm with his sister and wants to find a place outside, but he has very little money since his weapon recently broke, so his friends gladly offer to share their savings with him. The teacher explains that those who don't plan for eternity can't plan for the present, and those who fail to see the bigger picture can't effectively manage specific tasks. Cultivation is like watching countless stars, but if one's view is limited to the ground beneath their feet, they are no different from a frog at the bottom of a well. Sun Qifang continues calmly explaining that a farmer can't just work behind closed doors. They must understand global trends, and he believes students should know there are 6 dominant nations today: Jin, Qi, Chu, Qin, Mu, and Jing. The Jin nation dominates the central region, guarding the gate of 10,000 demons, while the Qi nation rules the east, tasked with suppressing the Sea Ocean Sang clan and bordering the sea to the east. The Chuska nation is the dominant force in the southern region, suppressing the Les clan, the fallen immortals. The Qin state dominates the western region, firmly holding the southwest, suppressing the Asura clan in the Yuyuak Valley, while the Mu and Jing nations are equal powers in the north, with their allied forces stationed on the border forming the first line of defense against a possible demon clan invasion. The teacher continues explaining to the students that the relatively small Zhuang nation directly borders 3 of the mentioned powers and only indirectly touches 2 others. To survive squeezed between great powers, small states must unite and compete simultaneously, making the art of balance crucial. Mastering it can not only make one unbeatable, but also drive away the tiger to catch the wolf, meaning the small can triumph over the mighty. Lin He whispers to Jiang Wang if he's used to living alone and tells him to ask for help with their sister if needed. The other brother quietly agrees, noting there's so much to do at the academy and wonders if the guy really wants her waiting alone at home. Jiang Wang whispers back that he's very grateful for their care, but the 5th brother helped get the girl into a private school so he can focus on his studies and pick Anan up after class. Zhao Ru Chen, thoroughly pleased with himself, says a problem solvable with money isn't really a problem at all. The academy's activities are interrupted by a drumbeat signaling an extraordinary event. Everyone turns their heads toward the entrance. Du Hu asks in surprise, "What happened?" A man accompanied by warriors appears at the classroom door, announcing that due to an emergency, all inner circle students must gather at the academy. A man strides quickly across the hall, saying that due to the emergency military situation, they need to take over this auditorium. The teacher assures everyone not to worry. Let General Wei do his duty. The students whisper anxiously, wondering who this man is, why he's so disrespectful to the deputy director, until someone hushes them, explaining that this is Wei Yan, 2nd in Dao's merit list, and a powerful city guard general, whose strength commands respect despite his age, unlike Song Qifan, who is over 80 but stuck at the 7th rank, and they wonder if Master Zhang were in his place. Would anyone dare to intrude so boldly? Taking his place on the platform before the students, the general turns to Zhao Lang standing beside him and says, "Let him make the announcement." The officer delegated by him from the city guard states that their army, under the mayor's orders, is mobilizing at least 30 Inner Circle Academy students to investigate in the Shaolin village. The students are surprised by this statement. Shouldn't the criminal investigation department handle this? Why are they coming to the Dao Academy? The officer explains that Heartbreaker and the Demon Bear have appeared in Sanshan. Most of the crime-fighting team has been sent there, but the city guards have other important duties. The general interrupts, adding he will personally lead the mission where Dao points will be increased by 30% as a reward. The man adds that participation is voluntary, but if fewer than 30 people join, the city mayor will issue a decree for mandatory recruitment. Some students are upset by this, while others find the reward worthwhile and are inspired by the general's personal involvement. The guy asks his brother what he thinks about all this. Zhao Ruchen advises him not to get involved, saying he just wants to go back to his room and get some sleep, while Lin He sees it as a rare chance to earn virtue points and insists he should go, and the other brother agrees, needing more points himself to quickly exchange them for the Meridian opening pill. The red-haired giant raises his hand and shouts to count all 4 of them, while the 5th brother reaches out to stop him, hissing, "Hey, why are they making decisions for him without his say?" The general, scanning the quiet audience, thinks, "Only 4 freshmen? Not very impressive." He tells Zhao Lang to record these 4 and says there are still 26 spots left. Are there any more volunteers? Li Changchu explains to the students that the cultivators of the Dao Academy are supported by the state and must contribute to the country's affairs. He says that 3rd-year Academy student Li Changchu is applying. A voice speaks up. "Well said. Let's put his words into action too." Up next is Van Chang Sheng, who introduces himself as a 3rd-year student. Scanning the students with a sharp gaze, the general replies, "Good," and notes there are 24 spots left. The man is pleased, considering these 2 talented individuals worthy of attention and confident their mission is now in safe hands. Now many are eager to join the volunteer squad, not wanting to miss the chance to gain influential contacts and earn Dao merit points. The sun hasn't even passed its zenith, yet the general's list already has 25 names, and more keep coming. When the squad was formed, the general stood up and headed for the exit, saying that the academy students had not lost their fighting spirit after all. On the hill, the general's horse leading the following squad reared up, and Wei Yan asked the warriors at the foot of the hill what had happened. They quickly approach him and report that a thick fog has completely covered Xiaolin City. Several of their brothers went there but never returned, and it was so terrifying that ordinary constables no longer dared to go near the place. The men point to the fog-shrouded city sinking behind the general, dark clouds gathering above it with lightning striking from a swirling vortex. But his attention is caught by a cart loaded with freshly cut logs. Wei Yan asks, "Just because they didn't dare approach, Does that mean they can ignore the rules and illegally cut down moon cypresses around Shaolin Village? One of the constables, bowing his head and trembling all over, replies that these logs are meant for the families of his brothers who died in the line of duty. He asks not to punish the owner of the cart and his brothers, acknowledges his mistake, and requests the general to punish only him. Wei Yan, urging his horse forward, says all the cut moon cypresses will be confiscated and sent to the city guard camp. Those involved will be fined with deductions from their salary over a year. The chief constable responsible will be fired and investigated, and everyone else must follow his lead and do their duty. The guy thinks the general is undoubtedly observant, but his actions are too inhumane. The second brother believes Wei Yan was right, while Lin He says military affairs differ from academy discipline. Orders are harsher, and must be followed without question. A squad led by a general rides along the forest road toward the city. Soon they see a sign with the name of the city, Xiaolin. The general urges his horse forward, but it rears up. Jiang Wang, tugging the reins of his horse, wonders, what's going on? The horses refuse to move forward. The squad keeps stalling at the city gates, unable to make the horses obey. Van Changxiang says it's animal instinct. They probably sensed something in the fog that scared them deeply. The general swings his sword and beheads his horse. He says if he chickened out even before the fight, then what use is he at all? The red-haired giant supports the general, calling his words brilliant and saying that if you're afraid of death, you shouldn't join the army. Du Yihu spurs his horse and pulls hard on the reins, shouting that his blood is boiling and asking what they will do next. Wei Yan orders everyone to dismount and prepare for battle, commanding them to form a sharp arrowhead formation. He explains that he will be the spearhead, leading the squad. Forming up, they pass through the gates as fog spreads across the ground and lightning flashes in the sky. The general raises his clenched fist and gives the order to deploy the troops. Zhao Long exclaims, "It's them!" He uses the sharpening technique, a third-rank Dao art. Zheng Wang is impressed that the officer used technology to sharpen their weapons. Zhao Long says hello and uses the third-rank Dao art, attached flame. The warriors form a circle back-to-back, holding blades engulfed in a fiery aura. The officer clenches his fist, resorting to the art of Dao harden. Du Yihu, whose main weapon is his fists, is almost completely engulfed in a fiery aura, shouting that it suits him perfectly as he challenges any evil spirits to come out of hiding, ready to face them, while Lin He urges him to calm down. Forming an arrow, they follow the general again, who tells them to watch the team closely and report any situation to each other. One of the young men complains that the fog is so thick it's hard to see more than 3 steps ahead. A voice sounds, "Something's wrong." Faint silhouettes of people appear in the fog. The brothers at the back of the squad hear the guys ahead say they've found many townspeople, but the red-haired giant doesn't like it and thinks things are going too smoothly. The general orders everyone to stay in place, take positions and wait for the command. He accelerates, cutting sharply through the surrounding fog. Thick clouds of fog reluctantly part before him. The squad approaches the figures of people emerging through the fog. The officer walking behind the general starts to speak about the city, but Wei Yan doesn't listen, a curse slipping from his lips. Van Changxiang believes this could become a major problem. He no longer seems as calm as usual. The fifth-named brother's eyes widen, filled with both fear and surprise, as Zhao Ruchen utters, "No." Jiang Wang is just as stunned as everyone else. What is this? From the fog, countless creatures approach them, barely resembling humans anymore. The general shouts, "Zhao Lang!" and the officer immediately responds, "Yes!" Zhao Long uses Dao art to draw a massive fiery circle around the squad huddled at its center. Most of the ghostly residents remain outside the flames, but a few are trapped inside. They rush toward the warriors. The officer warns that ghosts outside the circle will temporarily retreat and pose no threat for now. But those inside the circle will become more hostile since they can't escape. He urges the men to stay safe. The battle begins as swords engulfed in fiery auras effortlessly cut through the ghostly bodies. The general tells Zhao Lang they've come this far and he's still worried about them. He thinks it's insulting to guys. The red-haired giant, fighting ghosts with his bare hands, agrees. This is the real deal. Wei Yang's sword blazes like a torch. Several ghosts rush toward the general. They cling to him from all sides. One of the ghosts touches his face with a hand. The general stares ahead, peering into thick fog where dark silhouettes loom, thinking the mist is too dense to discern any direction, and even if the ghosts pose no major threat, blindly searching isn't a viable option. He firmly waves his hand, driving away the persistent ghosts. Wei Yan asks if anyone here is skilled in wind magic, and suggests trying to disperse the fog together. Among the students fighting the ghosts, Van Changxiang steps forward and says he can give it a try. A third-year academy student uses the art of Dao to summon a powerful wind, with streams of energy flowing from his mouth. They twist into a giant spiral and surge forward. Topping the giant tornado is a dragon's head, its eyes gleaming fiercely. The officer watching him thinks this is no ordinary wind. It's one of the 8 winds, the Eastern Minshu. He is amazed. Such powerful first-class Dao art is rare even among 6th-level cultivators. Not everyone can master it, and as General Wei's lieutenant, he believes he must keep up and grow stronger quickly to be a reliable support when the general needs help. Van Changsheng stops, apologizes, and says he needs to catch his breath for a moment. The squad, having already eliminated all the ghosts inside the circle, stands ready for further orders as the fog over the square completely clears. They see new ghosts rising up from beneath the ground. The general standing with Wan Changxian outside the fiery circle says the number of ghosts is infinite, far exceeding Xiaolin's population. But why are all the ghosts converging here? It makes no sense. One warrior suggests the general seize the chance to retreat now, calling it the wiser choice, and Zhao Lang agrees. This situation in the city is beyond their current strength to handle. Wan Chengsheng says that even Dragon Breath is powerless against ghosts. If the Dragon Tornado can't drive them away, he thinks the city guards should handle it. But the general replies, he can't wait for the main army to arrive and sweep away the evil energy. He explains that the Water Tribe is taking unusual actions, and the city guard plans to suppress them. Waiting for their return from the mission will be too late. The guy is surprised. Is the Qingjian Water Tribe taking unusual actions? Haven't they already signed a peace treaty with the Zhuang court? The general says a demon devouring hearts has appeared. Water tribes in the Qingjian River are moving strangely, and hundreds of ghosts roam Xiaolin City by day. These events seem unrelated, but are secretly connected by an unseen hand. The general grips the sword handle tighter. Wei Yan says they must settle this today with no time to delay. If the city falls now, who knows how many innocents will suffer tomorrow. The general adds that anyone who wants to retreat may do so, but everyone must leave their fate to the heavens. Moving forward, Wei Yan says those who choose to stay will follow him as they charge ahead. He won't stop, and neither should anyone else. Fearlessly fighting the ghosts, Du Hu grumbles. Who wants to back down? There are no cowards at the Dao Academy. The squad, following the general's orders, quickly runs down the street after Wei Yan. They reach a massive, impenetrable barrier soaring high into the sky. The general is confident the source of the disaster is here and informs his companions accordingly. Zhang Wang wonders, what a massive barrier prison. But why does it resemble the spell the demon cultivator used to trap him in that room before? The general strikes the barrier with his sword, but the blade splits in two without causing any damage. Wei Yan clearly didn't expect this turn of events, his face showing genuine confusion. One student says that as far as he remembers, the general's sword is an incomparable treasure worth 5,000 Dao merits. If even he can't break it, then ordinary Dao swords are even less capable. Wei Yan approaches the barrier, places his hand on it, and studies it closely, then asks if anyone has a solution, encouraging any ideas that might work. One of the students steps forward and starts urinating on the wall, saying he wants to try since the general can't break through the ceiling barrier. It's beyond his ability. A slightly stunned Wei Yan asks what he means. A third-year Dao Academy student, Huang Ajan, turns to him, saying the strong yang energy here means only the boy's urine can expel evil spirits and suppress ghosts. Since he hasn't lost his yang energy yet, he'll naturally take on this responsibility, while the young general, who's accomplished much and clearly has many admirers, is likely long past innocence. Zhang Wang says this guy amazingly combines shamelessness and generosity. The red-haired giant thinks he's truly worthy as a drinking buddy, and the fifth brother slaps him in the stomach, asking what he's so proud of, though he doesn't even notice. The general asks if this is even possible, and Huang Ajan tells him to be patient, just a little longer. The young man experiences astonishment. Du Yihu laughs and says the problem isn't that it's too small, but that someone else's is too tiny, right? Zhao Ruchen, chuckling, adds maybe the boy's blood effect is stronger and suggests Huang Ajan try again. A frustrated young man pulling up his pants complains that such a foolproof method can't possibly fail. Maybe his purity was damaged by frequent masturbation, while the general shouts enough. Stop fooling around. Does anyone else have ideas on how to break formation? Wan Chengsheng says that as soon as he cleared the fog, he noticed wandering souls in Xiaolin City forming the 9 Palaces formation. The general asks what this formation is and how to break it. The young man explains that the great division of celestial numbers follows the emergence of Yang and the retreat of Yin. Yang begins at Zi, Yin at Wu, thus creating the 9 supreme palaces. He says that destroying the formation of the 9 palaces is easy. If the cores of the other 8 are destroyed, the central palace will collapse on its own. The problem is that the one who set up this formation used fog to hide the cores, but also, catching his train of thought, the general finishes for him, using ghosts to form formations, with the core likely created by ghosts absorbing each other, turning into either evil or light spirits whose powers are unpredictable. He says there's no time to think. He will go to the northern palace of Khan himself while the others split into 7 groups. each tasked with destroying one palace. Then they will regroup here. The officer orders Van Changxiang to stay put to recover and monitor the situation, keeping 4 people with him to follow his instructions and support other routes at any time. Li Kongchu says he and his team will take the Kung Palace. The 4 named brothers are ordered to take charge of the Zheng Palace, while the others are instructed to split into groups and choose their own directions. The guys immediately carry out the order. One group heads to the Kun Palace, the second to Gen Palace Tus, the third to the Quan Palace, and the fourth takes the Li Palace. The brothers run toward their goal. The red-haired giant says, 1 glance, 2 steps, 3 turns, and asks Lin He if he's sure this will find the evil spirit, but they keep running in circles, while the first brother replies, 4, 5, 6 steps forward, explaining they're just following the book. Lin He says, 7, 8, 9 rounds. You can never have too many. Count to 10, and the truth will reveal itself. He tells his brothers to stop. The guys stop and look around carefully. A mist spreads across the ground around them. Jiang Wang says he smells blood ahead. Lin He declares this is the 10th circle. Du Yehu agrees, and asks if the evil ghost has arrived, then offers to show his brothers how he'll kill it with 1 strike. A huge clawed hand reaches out of the fog toward the guy. He swings his sword with determination. The hand disappears, but Jiang Wang keeps his blade ready, watching the fog intently. He asks the 5th named brother how many swordsmanship techniques from the purple chi of the east he has mastered. Zhao Ruchen replies he's trained in the basic forms of the first 3 techniques, and the guy says they'll attack together, asking the older brothers to fend off the ghosts. Drops of blood drip from the bony hand's claws onto the ground. The mouth grins with sharp fangs growing not only on the gums but also on the chin. A hunched, terrifying monster with glowing eyes approaches the guys. Jiang Wang tells his 5th sworn brother to help him, who agrees without hesitation, and they charge forward together. The monster baring its fanged jaws is closing in on them. The guy uses the first form of the Eastern Purple Chi technique against the monster, Speed Deception. A fearless young man battles a giant monster, blocking the evil ghost's claw attacks with his sword. Jiang Wang uses the second form of the Eastern Purple Chi technique, Precision Deception. The 5th named brother appears behind the enemy and strikes, as the ghost's mouth opens wide in a scream. Zhao Ruchen steps back to avoid the strikes of the clawed paws. He fails to pull the blade from the monster's body, and is forced to retreat unarmed. The young man lands a short distance away from the monster. The ghost of evil rushes toward him immediately. It seems he is doomed. He has nothing to defend himself with, and Zhao Ruchen can't save him in time. The young man reaches out his hand, searching for his sword. Behind him, Jiang Wang rises, gripping his blade. Both young men wield the purple chi sword technique from the east. Its 3rd form is the Deception of Piercing. Jiang Wang lunges forward with his blade, attacking the monster and pushing it away from the unarmed 5th brother. The monster, bearing its huge fang-filled mouth, rushes toward him. The guy complains that fighting an opponent like this is no easy task. He barely manages to jump back as the skeletal monster's claw crashes down where he just stood. Meanwhile, Lin He and the 2nd sworn brother fight the ghosts, while the 1st brother calls for Zhao Ruchen. He tells him to take the sword and throws his weapon to him. The young man catches the blade and rushes to help Jiang Wan. He uses the 2nd form of the purple chi of the East technique, the Deception of Precision. His strike lands squarely on the raging monster's back, unleashing a terrifying howl of anger and pain. Zhao Ruchen digs in his foot, trying to pull his blade out of the massive ghost. He's doing everything he can. This sword can't be lost again. The young man swears. What kind of back does this monster have? Van Jiang, seeing this clawed hand about to catch the 5th sworn brother, desperately shouts to grab his attention and warn him of the danger. Zhao Ruchen, focused on saving his sword and off guard, doesn't see the claws coming straight at him. The young man continues making unsuccessful attempts to free the blade. Jiang Wang, determined to save his brother, rushes to his aid. A powerful blow knocks him off his feet, sending him rolling on the ground, while the 5th named brother succeeds and falls off the monster's back, clutching his blade. Lin He worries about his brothers, shouting their names as he barely fends off ghost attacks with his bare hands. Jiang Wang sits down, trying to catch his breath. Zhao Ruchen lies still, clutching a broken blade in his hand. The monster charges at him, intent on trampling the young man. Zhao Ruchen, lying with his eyes closed, is unaware of the danger. But then he opens his eyes and sees the monster right next to him. But between him and the monster stands a red-haired giant who says he's tired of being a coward. Lin He exhales anxiously. 2nd brother. Jiang Wang looks at him with admiration. 2nd brother. Zhao Ruchen exclaims, "Old man who?" The 2nd named brother boldly confronts the monster. He says that even though his meridians are blocked and he knows no sword techniques, when it comes to life energy and blood, he has plenty, and the spirit of the tiger awakens within him. Du Yihu delivers a stunning blow, sending the monster flying back with its eyes popping out, held only by thin connecting fibers. Jiang Wang, taking advantage of the pause, admires his strength and says, "Good job. That strike will completely blind the monster." The red-haired giant delivers another crushing blow to his opponent. His power is simply incredible, radiating an overwhelming force. The fifth brother asks, by burning his life energy like this, isn't he afraid of damaging his foundation? Du-Ehu's hand reaches out to him. A powerful slap sends the young man flying. The second brother tells him to stop worrying and get out of the way, while Zhao Ruchen shouts that he's a fraud. Meanwhile, the monster slowly rises from the ground. His eye sockets are empty, and a long red tongue hangs out of his mouth. The ghost of evil licks its lips, clearly savoring the thought of crushing its enemies. He slams his clawed paw against the ground, then slowly pulls several ghosts out from underground. He slowly tears off their heads and tosses the bodies aside. Then, like berries, he tosses the heads into his mouth. The fifth named brother is surprised. He eats other ghosts? But why? What does he hope to achieve? Lin He, who helped him land safely, explains that fierce ghosts are originally created by absorbing each other, and now this monstrous creature can recover by devouring smaller, weaker ghosts, growing stronger as a result. Meanwhile, the monster begins to transform, growling and shaking its head. Suddenly, eyes start appearing on his head, in the most unexpected places. In moments, the monster grows several pairs of eyes. The guy swears. Their trick to blind him didn't work, so they have no choice but to face him in a fight. A ghost with eyes glowing in eerie light, letting out wild screams, advances on the guys. The second brother, attacking him, tells him to shut up and promises to make him scream for a completely different reason with his fists. Approaching the monster and raising his fists, he prepares to strike with all his inner energy, while Du-Ehu tells Jiangwan he'll handle the rest. The monster reaches forward with its hands, drawing on inner strength as their auras clash. Jiang Wang firmly grips the blade, glowing with his energy, ready to unleash the first form of the Eastern Purple Chi technique, followed by the second. His sword crashes down on the monster's outstretched arm as it reaches for the second named brother. He manages to severely injure the ghostly enemy's limb. The monster lets out a piercing scream and starts wildly slashing with its clawed paws. His chaotic movements leave Du-Ehu no chance to retreat in time, as a strike from one hand knocks the red-haired giant off his feet. The second named brother is tumbling across the ground. Jiang Wang is scared. He calls his name, trying to gauge how badly the monster has hurt him. The guy swings his blade again, striking the enemy to distract him from the temporarily helpless Du-Ehu. The clawed paw now lunges toward Jiang Wan, but the second brother, now recovered, grabs and holds the ghost's struggling limb with his strong hands, telling Jiang Wan to just take care of himself on the battlefield, and definitely come back to them unharmed. The monster desperately shakes its arm, trying to break free from the grip. Du-Ehu yells at the guy to stop hesitating and do it right now. Jiang Wang uses the Eastern Purple Chi sword technique. He uses the third technique, piercing deception. His sword strikes the ghost's limb and severs it. Jiang Wang leaps forward, putting more distance between himself and the wounded ghost. The second older brother, still gripping the monster's severed hand, praises it, unaware that the monster's other limb is already reaching for him. The guy jumps to help, shielding Du-Ehu and using the concentration key technique to drive his blade into the monster's palm. He thinks this ghost is far stronger than the demon he fought yesterday, but he's almost out of Dao energy and can only give his own. He raises the blade above his head and strikes down hard on the ghost's limb. He puts all his inner strength into the strike. The ghost of evil, bearing its fanged maw wide, lets out a heart-wrenching scream. Jiang Wang swings his blade again, cutting off the monster's second limb. The ghost keeps screaming as it stares at the hand with bones sticking out. Lin He, fending off smaller ghosts, tells Ru Chen to go help the brothers, saying he can hold on here for now, and advises attacking the eye on the monster's chest. As sacred texts say, all yin-powered filth has a deadly weakness. The fifth brother agrees. Meanwhile, thrown back by the ghost's powerful strike, the third and second brothers struggle to recover, while Du-Ehu, coughing, crawls out from under the rubble, and Jiang Wang, sitting nearby, warns him that if he keeps burning his blood essence, it could seriously harm his core. The red-haired giant swears, then replies, even if he burns everything to ashes today, he'll still fight that cursed ghost to the very end. A certain instinct makes the second brother named turn around. He sees a wide-open fanged monster's mouth looming over Jiang Wan, while the boy, unaware of the danger, wonders where the monster has gone. The red-haired giant leaps, grabbing the fanged jaws barehanded to keep them from closing, while simultaneously kicking Jiang Wang as far away as possible. Red with incredible tension and heated from battle, Du-Ehu shouts at the ghost, "Don't even think about hurting his brother." The second brother's eyes glow with inner energy as he yells for Jiang Wang to finish off the creature. The guy replies, "Got it," and rushes toward the monster's feet. Jiang Wang performs rotational movements to increase the power of his strike. He manages to severely injure the ghost's ankle. The sword breaks in two, and the young man freezes, trying to anticipate how the ghost will act next. The monster kicks Jiang Wan, sending him flying far backward. He headbutts the second named brother, freeing his jaw from the grip. The ghost struggles to balance on one leg, waving its stubby arms in the air. The fifth named brother rushes toward him, deciding to act in the style of the first form of the purple chi of the East technique, speed deception. He drives his blade into the monster's last uninjured limb. The ghost of evil lets out a monstrous scream. Another blow landing right in the center of his forehead makes him scream even louder. He loses his balance and falls to the ground, his chest glowing with a cold blue light. Ru Chen, eyes closed, drives the blade deeper into the monster's leg, unaware that one of its stumps is reaching for him. But Du Yihu presses his whole body against him, shielding Ru Chen from harm. The red-haired giant says he will take care of his little brother. The ghost desperately waves its severed hand, trying to reach Du Yihu, who is already behind him. The second named brother wraps one arm around his neck from behind. At the same time, he tries to hold the mangled limb with his other hand and calls out to Zhang Wang, signaling that it's time to act. The young man, clutching a broken sword, replies that he is here and rushes toward them. Zhang Wang drives a shard of sword into the eye on the monster's chest. He's convulsing while the three brothers keep fighting him together. Monstrous jaws snap as it tries to catch one of the guys, a terrifying scream bursting from the beast's chest. Zhang Wang wonders why the monster doesn't die but only grows stronger. The fifth brother begs them to do something. He has no strength left to hold on. Du Yihu squeezes the ghost's throat tighter, while it opens its jaws wider and wider, as if about to swallow the red-haired giant whole. Lin He says, "The scent of money gathers yin. A heavenly breach flows with demons. Heaven and earth are overturned. Life hangs by a thread." Now he understands. He rushes to his brothers, breaking free from the ghost's grasp to come to their aid. Running, the first of the brothers reaches for a stiletto-shaped hairpin sticking out of his bun. He pulls it out and clenches it in his hand. Then he shouts that the ghost's weak spot is the square hole in the coin on its forehead. Lin He pushes off the ground with his foot. He leaps into the air, raising his hand above his head with a stiletto clenched in it. Zhang Wang screams as he sees him make a suicidal jump. Du Yihu can't hold back either. Fear for his brother makes him scream. The fifth brother, his face covered in tiny beads of sweat, screams desperately, "No!" The ghost's head is tilted back, clearly showing a coin decoration on top. The stiletto's tip pierces the four-sided hole in the coin at the ghost's forehead, breaking the threads holding the coins together and causing them to scatter to the ground. The monster's head, held by Du Yihu's hands, shrinks. He shouts, "It worked." A person watches the fight from the rooftop. Seeing how the confrontation ended, he says, "Aha." He thinks it's a simple fix, then hides so his brothers won't notice. Zhao Ru Chen says it's quiet now, but something still feels off. Zhang Wang asks if anyone noticed the ghost's body is expanding. The monster is really swelling up like a balloon, and the guys realize in horror that an explosion is about to happen while they're still too close. Lin He says that with the weak spot defeated, the yin demon's energy inside the ghost lost control and is spreading wildly everywhere. A powerful explosion throws the brothers apart as Zhao Ru Chen continues to grip the ghost's limb. Lin He, rising from the ground, asks if everything is okay. The wounded Du Yihu, barely standing, replies that he's fine. Zhang Wang helps the fifth sworn brother walk, saying they're fine, while Zhao Ru Chen, hobbling with difficulty, says he wouldn't mind at all if his brother carried him. Lin He suggests the brothers examine the crater left by the explosion, and the second brother is the first to approach its edge. At the bottom of the funnel lies a green sphere, the core of the Zheng Palace formation. An unseen observer watches the brothers standing by the crater through the glass. A woman's hand holds a powder compact with a mirror inside the lid, reflecting what's happening with the brothers. A graceful hand with bright red nails snaps the powder compact shut decisively. The pale saint sighs and says these sword moves were decent, but that's all. The girl stands leaning her back against the crumbling temple wall. She stretches, takes a few steps forward, and says it looks like it's time. A girl approaches a cliff where hooded figures stand in pentagrams on an overhanging rock, flanked by two lamps and a vertical coffin, as she uses level A Taoist technique, separating yin and yang. The girl approaches the coffin, studying it closely with her eyes. Lowering her gaze modestly, she says they respectfully invite the third elder. The coffin lid is immediately pushed aside, and the girl continues to stand and wait. The foot of the creature hiding inside the wooden box steps onto the ground. The back of the third elder of the White Bone sect is barely covered by rotting flesh, revealing the skeleton beneath. At the sight of him, those hidden beneath hooded robes begin to murmur. At the riverbed of oblivion, in the abyss of yellow springs, the divine returns to the world, shedding light on humanity. The third elder of the Tao, whose wrists, ankles, and shoulders are pierced with iron spikes, steps forward, clutching another spike to his chest. He marches among the figures still murmuring. In the riverbed of oblivion, in the abyss of yellow springs, the divine returns to the world, illuminating humanity. The third elder approaches the cliff's edge, where a pentagram is drawn and stakes are driven into the ground. He spreads his arms wide and proclaims, "Tribute." Hooded figures, without a shadow of doubt, raise knives to their necks and cut off their own heads. Severed heads fly upwards, spraying blood. Baring their teeth, they rise higher and higher. The young woman thanks the elder for his efforts. He replies, effort, to return to the embrace of the divine. His hand grips the sharp rod even tighter as he raises it up. And then, driving it into his own forehead, he says, "This is an honor." A girl stands by lamps where skulls burn. The elder continues to stand right at the edge of the ledge. Suddenly, an enormous seven-fingered hand rises from the abyss, its wrist pierced by rods with rings that hold the chains restraining the mighty palm. She looms threateningly over the frozen elder. Then it lowers and clenches tightly into a fist, crushing the rocky ledge. The lights shatter, and the girl is forced to step back, shielding her face with her hand. The fist vanishes into the abyss. Out of nowhere, a voice calls, "Got you!" Belokostnaya the saint gives thanks to the divine. Two small spheres, one pink and one yellow, are passed from hand to hand. Colorful spheres are arranged in a circle near Van Changxian sitting on the ground, and the general asks which formation position is still missing. The third-year student answers, "The Zheng Palace." Once its formation core arrives, everything will be complete. Zhaolong, his clothes torn and body covered in bruises, says this matter is for the disciples to decide. Only one has opened his meridians, and he believes things are not looking good. The general replies that they won't wait, and suggests the officer come with him to the Zheng Palace. Li Changchu asks him to wait a moment since he has already passed 3 palaces, urging him to save his strength and volunteering to go to the Zheng Palace instead. The man agrees, telling him to go and return quickly. Suddenly, voices emerge from the fog discussing the news of someone buying a yuan pill at a high price, coincidentally a person named Zhao, and then Lin He is asked how he feels about this coincidence. General Wei, Officer Zhao Lang, and Li Chenchu turn their heads toward the source of the conversation. 4 sworn brothers emerge from the fog. Jiang Wang announces to all, "They have returned." The guy hands the general a green sphere, saying the core of the Zheng Palace formation is here. Van Changsheng immediately reaches out his hand, believing there's no time to waste, and that it should be handed over to him. The young man arranges colorful formation cores in a specific order before him. For about 5 seconds, he says something in an unknown language. Then, responding to the wave of his hands, the spheres rise into the air and begin to spin. 8 colorful spheres spin in the air. The command sounds, "Merge!" A puddle forms on the sidewalk tiles. The command sounds, "Disperse!" Van Changxiang repeats again and again, "Disperse!" The second brother wonders what exactly is hidden inside this place. The general tells him to follow and prepare for battle. A magnificent palace rises before them. They see a sign that reads Phantom Gates of Lang, with a skull image above it. A fierce rush of air swirls around the gates. The ghosts stop instantly. All at once, they turn their heads toward the palace. A voice calls out, "Spin around!" The general shouts, "Red alert!" Officer Zhao Lang responds immediately, "Yes!" He pulls out a long wooden rod. It instantly ignites in his hands. When the yellow alert sounds, it means the sender is in desperate straits. Red signals the danger of the entire city being destroyed. Black is declared when the whole nation fights for survival. A red flame rises above the heads of those present and soars high into the sky. He is heading straight into the heart of the celestial cycle. And it also lights up with a red glow, illuminating the entire city and its surroundings. A man looks up anxiously and asks, "Why has the sky suddenly turned red?" The warrior, gripping the spear that pierced the enemy, wonders, "Is it a red alert? Should they retreat?" Probably not, since the general and officer are with the trainees. Someone's hand, resting on the balustrade, is chipping away at the stone. From the red flame sky, a force strikes the palace gates. Qifeng sits inside, surrounded by jars and scrolls, quietly muttering to himself that he's growing old, as the crimson-red sky glows through the windows behind him. Zhang Wang, watching the columns of ghosts, says they are all moving in the same direction. Ghosts, circling the fiery ring where the general and his squad stand, march in sync, carried by the swirling air at the gate. They flow like river waters, circling around a small island of people. There are so many of them, it seems this procession will never end. All the streets are filled with ghosts, and all of them, like rivers to the sea, rush toward the gates. The general says, "The legendary gates to the underworld appearing in the world of the living? This exceeded all their expectations." Jiang Wang asks what the gates of the underworld are, and Li Chenchu, standing before him, replies that he doesn't know either. The guy casts a wary glance to the side. He sees the ghosts speeding up their movement. They move so fast that soon you can no longer see anything but continuous motion. The ghosts move so swiftly that the surrounding flames are extinguished. A sudden, powerful impact strikes the ground nearby. The general, shielding his face with a bent arm, realizes he is here. Wan Chengsheng says the underworld and the heavens cannot coexist, and the astral wind of the 9 heavens is truly harsh. The dazzling bright sun emerges from behind the clouds. It lights up the city and the air funnel hanging above it, which is starting to close. A mighty figure emerges from the smoke, a tiny silhouette perched on its shoulder, as curses ring out. The second brother steps forward and asks, "Who are they?" Val Fen, the ruler of a Maplewood city, standing on Major Borodaka's shoulder, says to use the lives of Xiaolin's people as sacrifices. Then summon the souls of past generations in Maplewood, who should be at peace, all to call forth the Underworld Gate's ghost and escape right under the city lord's nose. The Major agrees. What a disgrace. And he didn't even get a single kick from them. The club presses against Borodok's neck. He immediately brings Val Fen to the ground, who keeps talking. Logically, they should have stayed to fight, as the gate ghost could have absorbed all the remaining ghosts, reaching its full potential. But instead they retreated. Disregarding small victories means only one thing. They have a bigger plan, and the general kneels to salute Val Fen. The general, still kneeling, reports to the Lord of Maple Forest City that after breaking the seal in the center of Xiaolin, ghost gates suddenly appeared before them, so... Well, Fen delivers a powerful slap to the general, knocking him to the ground with a battered face, while the Lord calls him useless trash. Wei Yan tumbles across the ground, followed by the words, useless in success, but skilled in failure. The entire general's squad stands frozen, unable to recover from their astonishment. While the man struggles to get up, Val Fen keeps talking. The city's ruler ordered his transfer to the Dao Academy out of respect for Dong's favor, so how is he handling it? What other excuses does he have? The second brother steps forward, calling it outrageous. They risked their lives for this, but Jiang Wang tries to stop him, even grabbing his hand, though he ignores him. The general is already kneeling, bowing his head low before Val Fen, admitting he has no excuses, failed his mission, and is ready to accept any punishment. Major Borodok, also bowing low, addresses the ruler of Maple Forest City, saying they should not be gone too long. The Qinxiang tribe. Wei Feng climbs onto his shoulder and announces that Wei Yan has been demoted 1 rank, fined a year's salary, and his entire squad held accountable. The general has no objections and thanks the Lord of Maplewood. As he moves away from the squad, Wei Fei tells the major that the White Bone sect has already created a phantom image of the spirit gates. They can't wait any longer. It's time to set the bait and lure the snake out of its hole. Qingjiang waters. Between 2 cliffs, a calm stretch of water appears. Armed men stand on wooden platforms, while beneath the surface, a squad of warriors moves toward them. A mermaid swims above the city, hidden beneath the water. At the bottom of the sea stands the palace of Qingjiangshui. A man takes a sip from his glass and says this emerald moss brought by Zhuang Ting is truly excellent. Doesn't the messenger want to try it? Nearby sits a figure completely hidden under a shapeless hooded cloak. The messenger replies, if such a trivial gesture can so easily please the young lord, it's no wonder the Zhuang clan has long relied on the Water clan. Young Lord Sun Qingyue of the Water Palace replies that if this was a shallow provocation, the White Bone envoy is too naive. They did exactly as agreed, and the Qinjiang Water Palace has a clear conscience. What more does the White Bone sect want from them? The messenger replies, they had agreed beforehand that a symbolic raid on the shore would suffice, but now they've paid a high price while the Qingjiang Water clan only patrols the river's surface. Whereas the young lord's father fought nobly for Zhuang Chengyang's promise and is still praised for it. How did they end up breaking their word? Sun Qingyue sets the glass down with a clink and calls for the servant. A warrior appears at the door immediately. The lord orders him to tell Yu Yong's squad to retreat 3 li and not disturb the creatures on the shore. The messenger jumps up from his chair and exclaims indignantly, young lord! Sun Qingyue, a young man with blue hair and horns, says the envoy himself reminded him that the alliance between his father and Emperor Zhuang has lasted for centuries. If he helps him now, wouldn't that betray his father's memory? That wouldn't be a son's way. Right now, the entire Qinghe district army is on high alert against them, and can't mobilize easily. The White Bone sect is free to carry out their plans. Their goal is achieved, so they'd better stop being so greedy. He fills his glass again. The Lord continues. Aquatic creatures leave the water as reluctantly as humans leave the land, losing their foundation. Unless forced to fight Zhuang Ting, it won't happen. Can they afford such a price? The messenger asks, a price? What they gave them was... After a brief pause, he exclaims, a true dragon pearl! Sun Qingyue says this is truly a valuable gift. He adds that it took exactly as much effort from him as he had already put in. The messenger says, all right, then he leaves. He leaves the underwater city in a skeleton-shaped boat trapped inside an air bubble, while a shark that crosses his path is left behind split in 2. Sun Qingyue sneers. Oh, such a sneaky coward dares to bargain and talk about honor with him? Ridiculous. The gray-bearded old man asks what his son thinks. Clutching a glass, the young lord says that Lord Zhuan grows more arrogant by the day. This Zhuan Goshang is mistaken to treat them like his subjects, even proposing a marriage between his son and Qingji. He's heard talk of honoring her as the heir princess to unite their houses forever. But it's all intrigue, and he won't let his sister repeat the mistake their aunt made marrying Zhuang Chengqian. Zhuang Chengqiang, founder of the Zhuang Kingdom and former young general, seized the opportunity during the succession struggle to claim the land and establish his realm. Enraged, Yang launched a land and sea assault to crush Zhuang. But at this critical moment, Zhuang sought help from Song Hengjiang, promising to share control over land and sea and grant 700 li of the Qingjiang River to the Qinghe Water Palace, leading Song Hengjiang to fight his own people, defeat Yang's fleet on the Lan River, eliminate all threats, and secure Zhuang's success. Thus, the Qingjiang Water Palace and the Zhuang Kingdom formed an alliance, with Sun Hengjian's sister, Sun Wangxi, marrying Zhuang Chengqiang and becoming queen. Although Sun Vanci devoted herself to helping her husband rule the kingdom and earned the people's love, she was ultimately betrayed and tragically died in the cold depths of the palace. The glass shatters into tiny pieces as the young lord's hand clenches it in anger. His interlocutor says that in fact, his aunt and Zhuang Chengyang truly loved each other, and it wasn't his father who insisted on the marriage. Doesn't he feel guilty about what he plans to do to Qingji? Sun Qingyue responds that tensions with the Qinhe prefect are high. Gao Mei is shameless, and Qinhe City is no longer safe. So since Qinzi is just starting his education, he plans to send her undercover to Maple Forest City to study for a while. The White Bone sect even abandoned the Dragon Pearl this time, signaling something major enough to shake the Zhuang territory. But that also means it will soon be the safest place, perfect for learning. The young lord adds that he will also order people to investigate any traces of the White Bone sect in Maple Forest City, as they have risen from the ashes and surely hide a great secret. One Dragon Pearl is not enough for him, and his companion replies that he has long trusted him with all matters of the Water Palace, so he should act as he sees fit. From the palace, Sun Qingyue's voice tells his father that he has sent the Dragon Pearl to his private room and asks him not to forget to refine it. The father replies that he is an old, sick man, with no hope of becoming a dragon, now living only in a human body, wanting to protect his son and Qingzi a little longer, and that the Dragon Pearl has been studied with some tricks destroyed, so it can now be used safely to save them thousands of years of effort. The Bull's Head Mountains. A cloaked figure climbs the steps carved into the rock toward the summit. He stops in front of the oval dark opening, pausing for a few seconds at the cave's entrance. He enters the mountain and begins climbing the many steps once again. A voice asks, "How could this have happened?" A man in a cloak stands at the foot of the stairs. In the firelit cave before him stands an old man. The guest says, "Sun Qingyue, that scoundrel, took the bait but only barely touched the hook." The companion replies, "As expected. The past is not dead yet." They knew the water tribe couldn't break ties with the Zhang Palace. The messenger, who traveled a long way to reach this cave, replies that while it's true, it's still annoying. Their bait was the Dragon Pearl, extinct since the Middle Ages and extremely rare, and his companion says the matter of Xiaolin City is settled. Their goal achieved, so the messenger should no longer worry about these details. The third elder keeps speaking. He fears this little creature won't adapt well to eating their Dragon Pearl. The envoy said he thought he could do it with his White Bone Dao, unaware that once the Dao's sun appears, the first to fall will be his Qingjiang Water Palace, turning all 700 li of the Qingjiang River into white bones. Near the tower, the voice of the second-named brother says this recovery pill is pretty good. His qi in the blood has become even more energetic than before, and the younger brother replies, "Indeed, while others store and take recovery pills slowly, Du Hu just swallowed it all at once." The red-haired giant says, "By the way, Wei Yan was quite loyal. Despite the mission's failure, he still awarded them Dao merit points, and Wang Changxiang, who was waiting for them, welcomes the three younger brothers." The guys greet him back, and the young man says he has a few things to take care of, but tells them to make themselves at home as he has to leave right now. The fifth brother asks why he keeps coming here, and Zhang Wang replies that the last time he came, the young man was also here. They are greeted by Huang Ajan, who asks if they are here to exchange Dao points, and the young man wonders if they want to have a drink tonight. The second brother replies, "Of course. Although they have Dao points, they're still saving them to exchange for a meridian opening pill. Today they just came to watch." Huang Ajan explained that the meridian opening pill costs 100 Dao merits for freshmen supported by the Dao sect, but afterward the price rises to 1,500 per pill. Only Wang Changxiang, having finished all his tasks, immediately spent all his Dao merits to buy the pill, considering it an extravagant move. Zhang Wang asks, "Did Wang Changxiang exchange points for the meridian opening pill? His cultivation level is already so high. Why would he spend so many Dao merits?" Huang Ajan, watching the object of their conversation fade away, whispers, "They don't know all the rumors. Although Wang Changxiang is the family's genius, he has an older brother." A young man's hand opens the gate. Wang Changxiang enters the courtyard and walks along the stone-paved path. A ginger kitten sleeps peacefully on the chair. The young man stops and calls his brother. His eyes are immediately drawn to the tray filled with delicious dishes. A young man comes out of the house carrying a tray and says dinner is ready. He walks toward the table standing in the yard. Van Changxiang, sitting at the table, sniffs the delicious-smelling dishes before him. The kitten immediately wakes up and jumps onto the table. He immediately noses into one of the plates. The young man who set the table is eating the dish with chopsticks. Van Changxiang addresses him as brother. Van Changji, the eldest brother, suddenly realizes and gasps. He forgot to prepare food for his brother. The young man tells his older brother that he's not here for a free treat. He just wanted to talk. In the courtyard where the grapevines are carefully tied and trained on poles, Van Changxiang's voice can be heard as he talks about recently investigating disappearances in Shaolin City. But something there made him uneasy. The brother, having already finished his plate, sets his chopsticks down on the table. Van Changxiang continues, saying that when the Lord of Maple Forest City arrived, the phantom of the Ghost Gates vanished immediately, and no one knows where the villain plans to strike next. His brother says the judicial department will handle it, and if Wei Chu can't manage, there's the county governor, plus the city Dao Academy, the county Dao Academy, and the national Dao Academy, so there's no need to worry. My brother says he understands their good intentions. They often come to tell him what's happening outside because they don't want him to drift away from the world. But he's a useless man who can't open his meridians and can't even grasp their Taoist techniques and formations. Van Changxiang objects, that's not true. The brother, offering a tasty piece to the ginger kitten, says it can't just eat meat. It needs to eat more vegetables. The cat angrily claws at his hand, leaving deep, bleeding scratches on his wrist. Wan Changxiang shouts his brother's name in fear, but his brother, rubbing his hand, says scolding won't help. It's a cat's nature, unchangeable like his own. If he can't open his meridians, he can't. And while his brother is the family's pride, he is its shame. Something he's long accepted, so his brother shouldn't waste time on him. Van Changxing is searching in his wide sleeve. He asks, "Who said that? Let the brother see what he has." The young man hands a pill to his older brother. Wan Changzi asks his brother if he spent his Dao achievements again to buy him a meridian opening pill. Wan Changxiang replies that of course he did, and neither he nor his brother should ever give up. The older brother sighs and says that in that case, he won't keep a polite tone either. He offers the pill to the cat, hoping it will make him wiser and kinder in the future. The cat sniffs the offered treat. Van Changxiang swiftly snatches the pill from his brother's hands, saying no, it's worth 1,500 Dao. The older brother clears the dishes from the table and heads inside, telling Van Changxiang to hurry up and come home soon, warning that if the head of the house finds out he wasted resources on him, he'll get scolded again. Morning. A sunbeam glides over the academy's roof as Fan Heilin demonstrates the Dao Fireblade technique to his master, asking him to check its accuracy. From his 2 fingers rises an energy blade wrapped in a fiery aura. Dao Technique Master, Dao Xiaotianmian, nicknamed Little Iron Face, says this is an advanced form of the low-level Fireblade technique, still lacking control but complete and worthy of praise. The young man says the master is flattering him and that he feels ashamed. It took him 53 days to successfully lay the foundation after opening his meridians, which he thinks is too slow. But the teacher advises humility, noting the fastest foundation laying in the Gillian chart is 41 days, and their teacher also needed 50 days once. Fan Heilin points to Zhang Wang and says he opened his meridians earlier, so why not let him try this Dao technique too? The man agrees, seeing the sense, and offers the young man a chance. Zhang Wang believes that weapons crafted by Dao techniques should outperform ordinary mortal ion weapons, right? In every fight, his sword lasts only a few rounds. But Dao techniques definitely can't fully replace weapons. Brother Li, a master of the fire sword technique, never parts with his ancient long blade. I wonder how powerful he is with it. He also wants a powerful weapon, but the simplest standard sword in the Dao Hall of Merits costs 500 merit points. Xiao Tianmian keeps calling the guy's name, urging him to show off his skills. Zheng Wang, startled, immediately stands up, and the man indignantly asks how he dares to daydream during his technique class, demanding a demonstration of the Fireblade technique before they deal with everything else. The young man shyly asks the master to forgive him, explaining that he hasn't yet laid the foundation, so he can't use Dao techniques. The teacher is outraged. He hasn't laid the foundation yet? Why isn't he paying special attention to this? Why, having embarked on the path of transcendence, does he not value it at all? The man orders him to copy the text Purple Void 100 times, and until he finishes, he must not attend his lessons. The master says the lesson is over and leaves, while the second brother tells Jiang Wan that he has offended Xiao Ironface. The 5th brother says this Dao classic is nearly 30,000 characters long. If copied 100 times, how long would it take the guy? Fan Heilin offers to help since he spends a lot of time writing anyway. He expresses regret that it turned out this way. The young man says he doesn't understand why the guy still hasn't laid his foundation. Given his past reputation, he thought Jiang Wang had done it long ago, and with a sigh, he wonders what this confusion is all about. Jiang Wang replies that it's nothing. He'll just rewrite the scripture. If he really can't continue, he'll bother them all, but for now, it's time to pick up his sister from school. The sign proudly declares that the tavern serves the best lamb dishes. There are plates of food on the table. Jiang Wang, sitting across from his sister, tells her that their brother wasn't lying. If she studies hard, he'll take her to eat lamb at Kai Shi's, and the girl looks at the food with admiration. Anan is eagerly devouring the meat. A young man looks at his little sister with affection, telling her not to rush when she eats and promising to bring her here more often once she studies well and stops getting warnings from her teacher. Still chewing, the girl asks, "Really? Were his teachers at the academy never angry with him?" Jiang Wang stays silent in shame, having just received a serious punishment today. He eats soup with no less appetite than his sister. The tavern is quite busy, but not all the tables are taken. The plates are empty. The girl, rubbing her belly contentedly, asks her brother why he's only eating soup and not the meat, and he says he's already eaten and isn't hungry. He asks the waiter for the bill, while the girl places another order. The man replies, "Everything will be ready shortly." Jiang Wang says he doesn't know what else she wants to eat, but he's out of money. The girl replies she's already full. This order is for him. She places her bracelet on the table as payment. "My sister said she recently helped a classmate with homework, and in return she got a pearl bracelet. She hopes it's enough to buy food." The guy thinks the bracelet is too valuable and she should return it tomorrow, but the girl refuses, saying her classmate told her they have many just like it at home. Night has fallen. The moonlight illuminates a small house. Jiang Wang adjusts the blanket on his sister sleeping in bed, who mumbles in her sleep, the smell of meat. Quietly leaving the room, the young man thinks today is the 15th day of the 9th lunar month, the day of the trial in the illusory world of Taihu. He squeezes the hand and rays of light burst from between his fingers. Jiang Wang stands once again at the center of the yin-yang circle. He wonders, has the master of the green jade altar finally decided to challenge him? The countdown begins. 28, 27. The wheel starts spinning wildly. A small island with a boy standing on it rises into the air and soars upward. He sees another island approaching and thinks the opponent surrendered the first time on July 15th, and the second time on August 15th. Their islands collide. The guy shields his face with his sleeve, protecting himself from flying shards. Now that the islands have connected, it's clear how they formed like yin and yang symbols. The countdown continues. 9, 8. The enemy says he has been preparing for battle for 6 months since his last crushing defeat. The guy is counting in his head. He trained for 6 months, so 3 months before he first came here, meaning he's already lost 3 months. It seems the last fight cast a shadow on Zuo Guanlei, but that doesn't mean he'll win this time after a few losses. The countdown continues. 4, 3. The opponent says he recently mastered the remaining moves from the ancient 9 Swords treatise and invites the guy to try them too. Jiang Wang thinks it sounds powerful and wonders, is his opponent a student of the Confucian school? A single shout rings out as the young man soars upward, using the heavenly movement technique. Strong and powerful. The guy decides that to win, he must give it his all. Using all his Tao, he unleashes the purple chi of the east, resorting to the 5th form, the deception of intent. Their powers, forged into weapons, clash, and the guy's blade shatters. 2 forces are opposing each other. The opponent says we must relentlessly strive for self-improvement. Jiang Wang thinks he chose the wrong tactic, it just doesn't fit. The opponent wonders, is the 9 of Swords technique really that powerful? A voice sounds, "Welcome, new master of the blessed land Don Zhenhu," as he celebrates his victory. The guy wakes up with a loud scream. He says he lost to the master of the green jade altar. Jiang Wang reflects. Though he knew he would lose, he never expected such a wide gap. He must prioritize laying the foundation. He is entering a state of meditation. The Tunten Palace, meridians hidden within the spine. He climbs the steps. Opening the door, Jiang Wang explains that unlike the illusory world of Taihu, the Tongtian Palace is a spiritual realm accessible to cultivators through meditation, housing 3 key elements: the Tao Yuan, the foundational formation scheme, and the true spirit of the Tao Meridian. The little worm asks the guy, who thinks Zhou Tian's star formation is definitely stronger than Glilian's, but he still hesitates to start building his foundation because of time. The Gui Noan formation in Zhuang State has 81 formation points, and based on this, the Holy Tian star formation diagram has a full 365 points, making its organization very challenging. Even with a perfect foundation layout, it still takes at least 6 months to reach the 9th rank. After this, to advance from 9th to 8th rank, you need to create 3 Tao spirals, and to move from 8th to 7th, 9 Tao spirals. One slow step means the next will be even slower, making this path too long. However, after today's fight, he suddenly realized that a short ladder is easy to climb but never reaches the clouds, while heavenly steps are hard to climb. but the only way to reach the top. The path of creation is a struggle. The sign of the establishment catches the eye of everyone passing by, the incense tower. 4 hands holding glasses reach out to each other. 3 named brothers and Huang Ajan sit around a table filled with various dishes, with girls fluttering around the 5th youngest brother and their companion. Wang Jiang and the red-haired giant focus more on the food, while Zhao Ruchen says that teachings emphasize self-development isn't isolation but requires full life experience, including drinking and enjoyment, and today young Master Zhao will pay for the most luxurious private room and the finest courtesans, with Huang Ajan warmly supporting his generosity. Zhao Ruchen asks, where is their 4th brother? They agreed to celebrate the victory over the ghost together, so why didn't he come? Wang Zheng explains that Lin He went to pick up Anan from school, and the 5th named brother replies, all right, then they can probably start the fun. The guy says that before opening the gates of heaven and earth and advancing to the 6th rank, maintaining the yin-yang balance in the body is crucial for cultivators. He then suggests getting down to business and asks the girls to leave. The courtesans reluctantly leave the room. This deeply saddens Huang Ajana. He reaches out to the girls, lamenting. What if, as deputy dean, he gets stuck at the 7th rank? Will he still be a virgin at 80? Hopefully not. He begs the courtesans not to leave and sheds tears. The red-haired giant presses his head to the table with his hand, saying, if he drinks too much, he should just go to bed. Zhang Wang, filling his cup, asks what's going on. He currently has 40 Dao merits and can transfer them to his elder brother, who can exchange enough merits for a pill to open the meridians, while the younger brother says he can also transfer his merit points. Zhao Ruchen, already quite drunk, adds that after opening the meridians, they need to be cleansed daily, which is very exhausting. Du Yihu asks them to tell his older brother that he also passes on his merits, and says he wants to leave. Zhang Wang asks where he wants to go. The 2nd brother says he plans to join the army and pursue military cultivation, while the youngest brother can't hide his fear. The red-haired giant downs his shot in one gulp. Zhao Ruchen says they worked hard to pass the external academy exam and join the inner circle, advising his brother to think carefully, while Jiang Wang silently fills his cup. Du Yihu replied that after their expedition, General Wei Yan told him there were several openings in the Jusan Xuanzi military unit, and asked if he wanted to transfer. After considering it for a few days, he decided to leave tomorrow, agreeing with the general that he was better suited for a military career. Zhao Ruchen agrees. His strong energy and blood make him a good candidate for the military path. But since the Zhuang state mainly cultivates Dao techniques, strong military cultivators are rare. Meanwhile, crowds of busy people bustle past the establishment as the brothers have their serious talk. The brothers refill their glasses. Jiang Wang says that in the state of Zhuang, even the nominal supreme military commander, General Huangflu Duanomen, practices Dao. Even Wei Yan practices Dao techniques. Choosing the military path means no long-term cultivation with an established resource system. Du Yehu replies that he has thought about this too, but decided that without a system, there are no strict rules or limits, which suits his continuous development. So he chose not to take pills to open his meridians at all, wanting to open them through ancient military tradition. Raising the glass to his lips, the 5th sworn brother asks, what kind of military tradition is this? Du Yihu explains that this is called opening the energy and blood meridians, meaning cultivators don't rely on pills, but open their meridians through energy and blood surges. It's called ancient, because among thousands, few succeed, with the worst outcome for failures being disability, and many simply dying. Daily twice meridian acceleration, energy and blood cleansing, and condensing the Tao of virtues is the limit for most practitioners. Gathering massive energy and blood to break through the Tongtan Palace and externally manifest meridians is extremely dangerous. But because of this risk, warriors highly value and uphold it as orthodox, gaining great benefits. Those who open their meridians this way often surpass ordinary people. Du Ehu raises his bottle and declares, it's decided. He proposes to drink to the bottom for his success, not by shots, but by bottles. Wan Zhang asks, what about the methods of training in the army? Has he been told about them? The 2nd named brother pushes a book toward him, saying Wei Yan gave it to him. It's called White Tiger Body Cleansing Technique, common in the army but seems like an incomplete copy, and Jiang Wang asks for permission to take a look. Opening the book, his expression suddenly changes, and he says his stomach feels bad. He gets up from the chair and heads to the door. His younger brother asks if he's okay, but Huang Ajan, who has long been asleep with his head on the table, just replies that he's fine and will be right back after using the restroom. Jiang Wang steps into the hallway and closes the door behind him. Finding a quiet corner, he heads to the Dao platform and places his book on the table before him. There is no response to his request yet, Pages lift up and swirl above the table. He sees a ghostly tiger fighting a dragon as a voice says, "Remaining credits, 3,590. Then the fiery phoenix spreads its wings as the voice continues counting. 1,247 merits remaining. Before his eyes appears a giant turtle with spikes on its shell. The remainder is 190. Modeling is complete. The Four Spirits Body Cleansing technique has been obtained. He is surprised that simulating this cultivation method required a full 3,400 merits, almost twice as much as the Eastern Purple Chi technique. He thinks this makes sense since it's a military cultivation method, a true transcendental technique. Compared to a sword manual bought from a street stall, its potential is far greater. Leaving the room, he decides to rewrite it cleanly tonight and hand it to Du Ehu tomorrow when he practices. He opens the door and sees a charming young woman, Miss Miao Yu, slightly startled by his sudden appearance. He freezes, trying to figure out the best way to get around her. For a while, they just stand there, silently looking at each other. Then the girl asks, "Is that him?" Zhang Wang apologizes to her and squeezes between her and the wall, eager to return to his friends. He believes alcohol really triggers reckless actions. How did he even dare enter the illusion of the Great Void right here in the Incense Tower? But this chaotic place, full of fish and dragons, truly captivated him. He returns to the lively group and hands the book back to the red-haired giant. The brothers keep having fun. Du Ehu invites him to keep drinking, and the younger brother insists he pour himself 3 shots at once. A curvy woman enters the room, saying their young master Zhao is becoming more and more attractive, and he, calling her Madam Li, asks what's going on. A woman asks why all the girls were sent back, and if something upset them. Her younger brother, approaching her, asks her not to come too close because he feels dizzy. He says she knows he doesn't like ordinary girls. He spent so much silver on the table, but Madam Li won't let Miao Yu see him even once. A girl appears in the doorway and asks if it could be possible that... Zhang Wang takes a sip and glances at the girl with curiosity. Xiao Ru Chen says he's not drunk, right? The red-haired giant glares sternly at the door. The girl enters the room and says it's not that her mother forbade her from seeing him, but that she doesn't want to see him at all. The younger brother says the money was well spent today, and doesn't believe there's a single woman who wouldn't want to meet him. The girl agrees. Indeed, Mr. Zhao is first class, charming, and generous. What woman could resist him? But unfortunately, she stops behind Zhang Wang and continues, saying the truth is, he doesn't love her enough. Huang Azhan wakes up, but he's still too drunk to say anything coherent, only managing to utter incoherent sounds. Du Ehu grabs him by the collar and pulls him out of the room. Xiao Ru Chen says he's never pursued a woman for so long. Since meeting Miss Miao Yu, he's spent more time in the Incense Tower than at the Dao Academy. How could he not love her deeply? Approaching the girl, he says his love for her overflows and is ready to flood his heart. Miao Yu responds. He truly has a delicate and tender heart, and his words are so sweet. The girl, after a pause, continues, but she can see he's just bored. Xiao Ru Chen looks at her with hurt feelings. His face twists into a grimace as he admits he truly doesn't love her now and hates women who are too smart. Zhang Wang suddenly stands up from the table, startling the girl who steps back in fear. He says it's time for him to go home and prepare everything for Anan. The fifth brother says they can take the food with them and asks the guy not to cook anything himself. Du Ehu peeks in, saying even his body can't handle his cooking. Anan is still a child, so he asks the guy to be careful with her. Zhang Wang angrily tells them to stop nagging and asks if they're leaving or not. Du Ehu drags Huang Ajana along, mumbling, "Of course," as they leave. Zhao Ru Chen follows, saying his passion for cooking is like his martial arts. He never backs down. The girl sends a small burst of her energy toward the boy with a snap of her fingers. Seeds of white bone energy enter his aura. They immediately spread throughout his body. Watching him walk away, the girl thinks she'll keep watching a little longer. If he's truly a child of the Tao, the seeds will soon sprout, but if not, he can consider himself a loser meant to become food for their white bones sect. The brothers stand with Anan under a huge tree, with a horse beside them. The red-haired giant says enough beating around the bush. If they ever meet in the fighting world, it will be at the top. Zhang Wang, one hand searching through his robe folds and the other firmly holding his sister's hand, tells his second sworn brother that this is for him. He hands him the book. Du Ehu, examining the gift, tells Zhang Wan, "Great stuff." The fifth sworn brother asks to have a look too. The red-haired giant explains that the book is called Body Improvement, and asks him not to come here. Du Ehu says they don't understand anything. With such great technique, just a few tries will make him never want to let her go. He asks the eldest of the named brothers, does he want to take a look too? Lin He makes a dismissive gesture. He's currently focused on stabilizing the meridian openings in the Tongtian Palace, so he has no time to be distracted by other techniques. Du Ehu asks the guy if he gave him the book and what his own plans are. The guy tells him not to worry, as he has other copies, and when they meet again, They can compare who has made more progress in cultivation. The second named brother replies that he can't surpass him in sword fighting talent, but with this body development technique. He asks him to wait and see for himself. The brothers exchange glances. Throwing his fist forward, Du Ehu exclaims that they will meet in Xinyang. The brothers mirror his gesture, their fists meeting as they say they'll see each other in Xinyang. Jiang Wang and his brothers head to Xinan, the capital of Zhuang, to celebrate joining the National Dao Academy, while Du Yehu must gain enough experience in Zhujiang Xuanjia to perform in Zhuandu, feeling a mysterious push along the way. A voice calls out, "It's me!" All eyes turn to the little girl reaching out her tiny fist. The red-haired giant picks up the little girl, and she says, "Let's do it again." Du Ehu replies, Okay. He begins to speak, Everyone is shouting that they will meet in Xinyang. He jumps on his horse and shouts, "Let's go!" Du Ehu spurs his horse into a gallop, waving goodbye to his brothers without looking back. By then, the wind had died down, the clouds parted, and the rain stopped. Autumn was coming to an end. Zheng Wang is cultivating using the Four Spirits body cleansing technique. The white tiger channels metal energy for bone strikes. The phoenix uses fire energy to temper the body. The black tortoise harnesses water energy to nourish flesh and blood, and the azure dragon employs wood energy to strengthen energy and blood. The young man feels that after each practice of the Tao of the inner palace Tuntian, it becomes more alive, greatly helping him allocate formation points and bringing him closer to completing the foundation. Lost in thought, he doesn't notice he's not alone in the room until the fifth brother, stretching, asks why he needs to be undressed to improve his body. Hastily pulling on his clothes and muttering curses, Jiang Wang angrily replies that improving heats the whole body, so it's better to take off clothes. He asks when Zhao Ruchen sneaked into his room, and the young man says about half an hour ago, adding that seeing him so focused on self-improvement, he didn't dare disturb him right away. Jiang Wang tells his carefree brother, who is busy eating grapes, that he has already shared cultivation methods with him. The elder brother is preparing to open his meridians and has no time to practice, while the younger brother, unbothered, replies that life is short and not enjoying it in time is the greatest waste. He says he came today to practice sword fighting with him, which is serious business, right? If Jiang Wang doesn't want to be bothered, he should be kind enough to let him win at least once using the purple chi of the East technique. Jiang Wang, absorbed in another treatise, replies, "Let him keep dreaming. If he lets him win, he'll become too lazy to ever practice with the sword. So once he finishes his scheduled training, he'll deal with him immediately." He checks off a box in the thick notebook, marking today's tasks as done, thinking that his older brother will soon have enough Dao merits to buy a pill to open his meridians, while the second brother trains day and night in the army, ready to open his meridians with energy and blood, and if he doesn't hurry, they'll catch up to him fast. Wanzheng has already marked nearly 100 Dao merit points for the Zhou Tian star map, but with over 200 still to go, he can't afford to rest even for a minute. The guy practices fencing together with Zhao Ruchen. He listens attentively to the teacher alongside his older brother, while their fifth brother sleeps at the back desk. In the evenings, he studies from books while his sister sits diligently beside him. Time flies swiftly. Zhao Ruchen raises his hand to call Lin He, who greets his younger brothers upon seeing them. Jiang Wang, walking with his brothers, asks if the Dao Academy has summoned them all to the city lord's mansion to announce something important today. Lin He explains that these are the three cities' Dao debates, held this year in Fenglin, where three nearby academies compete in Dao performance to sharpen their skills and prepare for the county Dao Academy exams in November. For example, in Daishan County, the Northern Wind and Snow Show, hosted by Qinglin and Beilu cities, has become a famous event attracting many tourists each year. In fact, it's simply a Dao performance competition organized by 5 nearby cities, while the Dao contest among the 3 neighboring cities